Ray, but we did have Carol and St. Lawrence play map 1 off of stream due to some tech issues. St. Lawrence did take Lee Jang 2-1. It was a very back and forth series, but the 7 seed did beat the 10 seed in map 1, and now we get to go see if Carol can take us to Esperanza shortly and see if they can tie things up.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a fun series. I wish you guys could have seen it offhand, but the Winston comp on Lijiang Tower beat out the Ram comp, which to me was extremely shocking, and the supports have been the story. So I can't wait to get into this matchup. I believe we said Esperanza was the next one. So just keep in mind with everything going on, it is a work in progress. Obviously, he is not Tiny Shiny. I am not Twin Salty. There'll be other things that you might see that don't match up. They'll be fixed as we go along. So pay no attention to that.
Oh, yeah, I think we're just got to get Ray. I lost him in my ears for a little bit there, so just got to get to unmute here quickly. There we go. I think we're all good now.
Yeah,
so
basically the
all
good.
good.
I think it went to Cass. I just said hopefully we'll get these things fixed.
Yeah. So it's one of those nights where what can go wrong will go wrong. Luckily, though, we should be able to get into Esperanza very shortly. As we said, Carol losing map 1, and when we were watching it just like a Discord screen share, and we did see the rare time where Winston was completely able to just run over a Cassidy and a Reaper, and Carol didn't really have answers for a good while there. They did find a couple nice answers with an Embry at a few points, but definitely looked like St. Lawrence at least had a step ahead in map 1. But of course, we get to go over to Push now, and I don't know if we got the bans yet, so we still may be waiting on that as well. I think the Mauga and the Mercy might have been banned away in the map 1 as well, so the Mercy, I don't know if that was more of a comfort or a favorite ban, but I think it heard it may have gotten changed or buffed recently as well. I'm not sure if you've had any knowledge or experience on it.
Sorry, I didn't catch the end of that. You said who?
I think Mercy. I've been seeing a couple Mercy bans. Like there was one in map 1, I believe, and I think I saw one in another game last week. Did Mercy did she get changed recently, or is it just?
She got changed a little bit. I mean, her movement's not as good as it used to be, but she does a lot more healing now. But to me, Mercy. I mean, we're in Div 6 right now. Mm-hmm. I guess I could understand and possibly see Mercy coming out, but I mean, in the end, we saw map 1. Anna and Brig for one team with the Winston, with the other team playing Kiri, Lucio, Ram, and that Anna Brig for St. Lawrence was insane, like hard carry, especially from the Anna.
Yeah, I actually do remember we did get at least Carol's ban. Carol is going to be banning the Anna for this map, and yeah, what we saw, literally like shooting 100% from the field with the sleeps. The antes were on point, and then knowing the Winston at the right times. It was a full team effort from St. Lawrence, rather. They looked extremely, extremely strong, and I think we are still waiting for another ban or two, or maybe getting the lobby cooked up. Hopefully, we'll be able to get in a minute or two. There we go.
Yeah, so it looks like we got a Winston ban on the other side for the side of Carol, I believe. So again, keep in mind, guys, this scene, this is from last week. It will be ever changing. But right now it is 1-0 in favor of St. Lawrence.
Yeah, St. Lawrence up 1-0 over Carroll. We'll get things ironed out as the day goes on, of course, right? If anyone, Northwood's got a new roster there. It's getting fixed on the fly already. All that matters, though, is going to be the gameplay. The nameplates are at least correct for which player is supposed to be where. So we get to finally see some more Overwatch and see if the side of Carroll can just figure out an answer. You do not want to be down 2-0, especially in, I believe, the first round of Nationals, where the bracket is naturally going to get tougher and tougher and tougher, and you don't want to have your run cut short in round 1.
That you do not, as we're going to get Junker Queen going up against Orisa, which I do think at face value, in my opinion, for the side of Robo Donut, you have that sustainability that should be able to outlast a lot of this damage from the Junker Queen. So as long as they can outlast these initial strikes, they should be able to win out in this matchup.
And always the question of the Sombra, is it going to be the Sombra that kind of runs around AFK, not really able to find the setups, or the one that can help carry the game? Well, that Sombra will be getting immediately shut down, courtesy of the Brig, as Carol looking to fight back, obviously down to DPS right now. The Queen, though, laying up some good damage onto the Tracer, no less. Trying to catch Elysium out with a little bit of lead there. Nice little throwing knife as well, and it looks like we're going to get a little bit of progress here for Blackjack and crew.
That good knife coming in, forcing Robo Donut, who has to force back, and they've lost their Emery, have then Elysium on this Tracer going.
Yeah, a Tracer cannot be overstated. We see it time and time again for a reason. As now we see the Orisa tried to run down the Queen. A nice hack though from the Sombra. He's going to take a few of the cooldowns off of the Orisa, but MJL able to take the disguise with the Echo and shut down Yashi, and that means Carol with a few player advantage now. They should be able to get this robot on the move and take themselves the lead.
Yeah, well, out of that fight is the side of St. Lawrence. But again, the Orisa is kind of showing what I saw. Like, they're trying their darndest on the Jumper Queen to get on top and find some picks, but the Orisa, the Robo-Gunner, has just been withstanding these assaults.
Yeah, it's one of the beefiest boys in the entire game. It's the epitome of playing that frontline tank, and Kara Surge getting ever so close to being online. Same with a few of these ultis, and a beautiful Javelin onto the Sombra of all targets. That is a prime pick for the front line of Carol, and that means they can continue to press these advantages, as the Sombra will be the run of shame back from the spawn. But Carol off to a phenomenal start after a lackluster map 1. The pole spawn will whiff, but MJL won't. MJL 2005 on the Echo is now putting in that burst damage to combine with Elysium's Tracer. Elysium has been farming the backline, so when you're a Tracer, you can just get into the backline of a team, and you know you're not always able to finish all these kills. You have an Echo with you now, focusing beam, you know, got sticky bombs. They work together pretty well so far. And I know after a few weeks ago, now that Echo can replicate one of their teammates, it just makes the ultimate that much easier to use. You can pull out the double Orisa, even go double Tracer, whatever calls for the situation. I know that's been a lot of players have been enjoying it, right? It just makes the pick easier to play, but we are going to see the EMP get summoned onto a few heads there from Carol. Finally, the team fight that St. Lawrence has been looking for. Courtesy of the DPS, nice little translocate up to safety as Kushinada will scoop up a few kills, and St. Lawrence will wipe her.
And that, folks, despite positive momentum that was going on, that is the power of a very well-placed EMP, folks. So now, and I do like the swaps that we've made over here going over to the Zarya. The Zarya applies a lot of pressure on this Orisa, especially with that charge up.
Yeah, can't go wrong with the Zarya and most team comps here, and still the Orisa though. We see Robo just playing the front line very well, landed a ton of Javelins onto a few targets already. St. Lawrence only able to get about 5 meters after the big EMP team fight. Kara was able to take that on the chin. They've got 4 ultis in the back pocket. The rally will be summoned, and we're going to get a replicate onto the brig. So MJL maybe going to try to get that second rally summoned up with the extended team fight. And with how fast you can charge the ult on the brig, it looks like they might be able to, but it looks like maybe no enemies in range. Getting very, very close. Will get hacked at the last second, and will have to turn back into the Echo, but not the worst time to do so as Carol still fighting with 5 alive. Same with St. Lawrence. Kitsune sent in for favored. Moo will be the recipient of a hack, but all those investments and not a single kill until now.
You trade out the Echo for the Sombra, so they're pushing out on the cast to stay alive, but they can not. So Elysium on this Tracer once again. I'm still not over yet, and back down on the Zarya to try to find these picks, but unable to.
Yeah, 30 HP, the Kiriko's in spawn, the Lucio was as well. St. Lawrence losing another fight. That means Carol, they're going to go on the march here. Might be over 100 meters before St. Lawrence can actually stance up and get a good touch on the robot, as the first checkpoint was already reached. And yeah, St. Lawrence got to find a way to shut down Elysium. I was about to mention MJL as well. Feels like their name's been in the kill feed time and time again. And another pick like that, Lucio falling, means Carol just gets more free space.
Yeah, that's the issue. If you're gonna die, the team, everyone hop on the robot and die. Staggers like that just make it so much more difficult for a team like St. Lawrence. So we gotta let things back.
Robo playing with fire there in the front line. Luckily had Golden up, and there's the revenge pour from the Lucio. The orbital ray gets summoned. The Robo Donuts getting hacked up. That means St. Lawrence can just land the Wombo combo with the EMP, and Carol, despite the orbital ray and the pulse bomb attempt, they will get sent packing, and Graviton Surge EMP, that will certainly get the job done.
It will, but at the same time, it's like, I don't think they wanted to commit that many ult. I mean, not that it's a lot, but those are 2 game-changing ultimates. Like those two together on their own. So having to combine them, definitely not like the ideal situation.
And it's almost like last time where they were so far back on their own side, they're really not going to gain. I mean, they haven't actually gotten any progress off of that team fight. They're just now getting onto the robot. As you can see, Carol is already here, ready to fight. As the Sombra, though, they had some nice damage going undetected. hack onto the Juno. The rally will be summoned up by Boo, so Carol looking to take the fight to St. Lawrence. The sound barrier is going to be the response, and St. Lawrence unable to find a kill in the early going. And with your Cassidy being down, it's just that much harder as Via Boba taking to the skies, trying to ice out the Lucio. Will survive though, and Elysium shutting down Blackjack means Carol definitely has the fight.
Yeah, unfortunately, that sound barrier from Yashi was very, very late. Was not able to save Kishinada, who maybe going to pull out the high noon and made something happen. But I digress. We get the victory pose from Elysium. I mean, they got to be feeling pretty good after that Lijiang Tower first map loss to be so far in constant control of Esperanza.
And should mention, I was writing notes down, and in the map 1, Carol, not that it necessarily would have won them the entire point because they were trailing, they did get a Lucio alt Ajax, which was a very important team fight in one of those control rounds, so that map maybe even been a little bit tighter or possibly could have gone their way. They certainly were competitive all the way through, so not a surprising result by any means. MJL replicating into the Cassidy, able to get the Deadeye online, and putting down Winter Red Bull. That means Carol, they can continue moving on forward and St. Lawrence. They are running for the hills, but there is nowhere to go.
And I will say, even the spot positions first going over to Zarya, probably going that grabbing that shield work is going to be a big deal on the Orisa. Trying to give a sustain against the Zarya because your Javelin Spin can't do anything about the Zarya primary fire, but a shield certainly can. So, because normally with Orisa, you don't take a second perk unless, you know, you want to beat the Zarya, for example. Technically, at this point, they could stop it for comp, and they are going to go over the Ramada, but normally people play on double summons.
Yeah, very, very annoying, and even with the Orisa, you have the shield there as well. It takes out all that potential poke damage to St. Lawrence. Swaps are certainly coming through. The Moira, Ramatra, Emery, basically, we're swapping the entire 5-stack there. Maybe Sans the Kiriko. They are desperately trying to cling to life here in map 2 and see if they can swing Esperanza back the other way. But with all these ultis online for Carol and all this pressure they are applying, and now a Terra Surge to boot, able to wait out the Suzu, and the Ramatra's got nowhere to go. Blackjack, not enough armor in the world, and it'll be Carol with a dominant map 2 to even up the series with ease.
Extremely impressive map coming out from Carol. I mean, you can't talk about Lijiang Tower. I mean, it was 2-1 back and forth. That was just a dominating effort to tie up 1-1 the Orisa composition. I think really Elysium on map 1 was playing a lot of like in these rounds, playing this Tracer to go along with the Echo. It was just chef's kiss. It was very, very good.
Yeah, that was some sharp shooting out of the backline, and before it just seemed like they somehow couldn't deal with the Winston comp despite having the hard counters, and this time they just got that snowball rolling downhill nice and early. They took an early lead, they never looked back, and we mentioned St. Lawrence, the few fights they won, it was investing in EMP, a Surge, and maybe another ulti, just for them to hit the robot and not be able to progress it. I think they won 2 team fights and gained 4 meters from it, so maybe some misuse of the ultimates, overselling when they obviously feeling desperate though, with Carol just punching them in the face over and over. They said, okay, we have to try to win a fight. Let's dump everything. You dump everything and then go, well, we don't really have anything for the next 2 to 3 fights now. So Carol's just going to roll us again.
Yeah, so then for St. Lawrence, I mean, you know, now you're put on the back foot. You're like, man, that Orisa comp, it was just devastating. I mean, where do you go to ban? Do you need to ban the Orisa? Do you have to go to the Tracer? Do you have to go to the Echo? Because it felt like those were like the main standouts in that one. I mean, we did see the Ana ban and then the Winston ban coming in. So it's like, once Ana was gone, you weren't going to be playing Winston. That's almost a necessity nowadays. So you that opens itself back up. Like you could take us to say like a Gibraltar and go back to the Winston comp, which looks so good on a Lijiang Tower. So imagine if you took it to a map where Winston's very good on.
And I know St. Lawrence, I believe it was St. Lawrence. I think they role swapped a bunch of players around. I think Winter ended up swapping. Kushinada may have swapped as well. So they did actually make a few changes in the lineup, which maybe didn't work out as well. I know push and control are extremely different game modes, and some teams are just better in close quarters fights and not as good at trying to play the space and pace. But maybe we are going to see a few more. Actually, I think we just got a message of we are going to have Blackjack swapping for Yashi. Well, no, that SD bench Blackjack the next sentence. So I think Yashi may be figuring it out too. Winter Red Bull back on support. Char's going to be on DPS. And Blackjack in for Yashi as far as I can tell. If they update us more, we'll find out. But for St. Lawrence, I mean, the fact that they're already just debating this many changes, it doesn't always spell the best news for me, at least, watching.
Yeah, I agree. I've always had that idea for me, at least as person who's watched a lot of Overwatch, cast a lot of Overwatch. When you start role swapping around like this, it's not normally the best sign, but we're gonna see. I'm very excited, but sometimes that's just how it is with these collegiate programs. I mean, not everyone, obviously is on scholarship, so it's like sometimes you're just taking from people you met on campus, for example. So role swapping around, I again, I'm not a fan of it, but I can understand it and can see why in these situations it might actually work out.
Yeah, and it can help keep the other team on their toes too. If you have something in the back pocket that you've been saving for a time like nationals, when the regular season, with all due respect at this point, it doesn't matter anymore. We are officially into the next bracket. We're into the final stage of things. No matter what, St. Lawrence, right? It is the 7 versus the 10 seed. It's by no means like a David versus Goliath matchup, but you win map 1, you look good, and then map 2, you get hit with a 8-piece combo. And I'll be very excited to see exactly what map they are going to be picking. Gibraltar and banning away the Echo for St. Lawrence. So just taking MJL slightly out of the equation there, I think that is certainly not a bad idea after what we saw. But you said it too. Could have picked 4 or 5 heroes for St. Lawrence to ban. That's how many problems they had last
Well,
map.
I think the map takes out the Orisa. You're not going to play Orisa on a map like this. So I think it was a well-picked map. Tracer's still going to be fantastic on Gibraltar, but I don't disagree taking away the Echo, just getting that ability to keep her out of the skies. And then the burst damage can be detrimental, especially to like a Brig on a backline who could be susceptible. Like they're very sustainable characters for each other and can protect each other, but you get some stickies in a focusing beam, there's nothing they're going to be able to do. So I think that was the right ban and the right map.
Yeah, and we even saw, I think the Echo was able to shut down a Deadeye, and maybe I don't know, think there was an Echo map one, but I know it shut down another ultimate or had some extreme value in the map too. So be curious, yeah, Gibraltar might be seeing back onto the Winston that actually had a ton of success early on the Lijiang, despite the heroes they were playing into it. So I wouldn't be surprised seeing the role swaps kind of go back and forth. Maybe right, Diva's still open too. There's always that option, especially on a map like Gibraltar. So I think the good thing for St. Lawrence is that there is options. Carol will be banning away the Lucio as well. So just take away that great equalizing button of the sound barrier and try to play around it.
Which is very intriguing to me because, I mean, based on what you saw in Lijiang and the map you took him to, I would not be expecting them to play Lucio. I personally probably would have banned Brig, so you don't have that protection for your Ana. But who knows? There are wiser people out there than me, so maybe they know something that I don't.
Yeah, or just the good old comfort. We don't like Lucio, so we ban Lucio. And sometimes with the teams, right, we always try to analyze. They're like, nah, we just really, the Lucio, for whatever reason, even if it's not the greatest pick on this map, just gives us issues. We do not want to deal with the sound barrier. Or if they're not playing the Sombra or something like this, where they can try to shut down the Lucio a little bit easier, could definitely see them picking in. Or, yeah, just one of those, we don't really know what else to ban. Let's just ban one of the good supports in the game, and we'll kind of roll the dice and see how things go from there. But should be getting into shortly as well. And obviously St. Lawrence, I mean, you do not want to get upset in round 1 of Division 6 Nationals. There is an entire bracket to be played. I actually can look at the bracket really quick to see who the next round matchup will be. The winner of this game will be playing the winner of LCU Blue and Indiana University Kokomo Crimson, which is the 2 versus 15. So assuming LCU Blue takes care of business in that series, whatever team wins this series is certainly going to have their hands full in the next series.
Couldn't agree with you more. So it's just going to be about building that momentum, getting that confidence going on either side. As we mentioned, series tied 1 apiece as we head into Gibraltar for map number 3. Here we go.
There we are. We did see MJL, I believe it was on the Carol side. They did pop out the Venture and Lijiang for a little bit. I did actually have it written down. Yeah, they played a Venture. They played a little bit of Life Weaver on the Lijiang as well, which they had some success with, but now it is going to be St. Lawrence. Yashi swapping from support to tank, as we said. So yeah, Blackjack is on the bench. I guess I did read it correctly. Char and Kushinada on the DPS, and I'm never going to be upset at an Enren Emery backline in this current game.
This is what we saw them play on Lijiang Tower, which, I mean, it worked out over them. They got the map win. We actually do see Robo Donut locking that Orisa as it stands. I'm curious to see how well this is going to go, because this is not a great map for Orisa.
It's certainly a confident pick because, yeah, it's a little hard to play, and maybe after we see the Orisa kind of realize it's really hard to play after the first death or two, then maybe we see a swap into something like the D.Va or the Winston. I mean, could just do the mirror mode or could obviously swap into the D.Va as well. Options are open as early as it is in the map, but certainly like to see Carol get off to a nice hot start here as Char locking things down on the on-run. They're Orisa getting taken down very low, just diving into everybody, but maybe overheating there as Boba able to find the final shot there to shut down the DPS. So St. Lawrence overextending, and it's going to cost him a life, and there's an Ana just getting a pick too.
As Elysium on this Tracer, starting to shut their stuff a little bit. That's one thing we didn't see on the Lijiang Tower that we will see on this Gibraltar. That was the other thing. When I remember watching that Winston comp, I'm like, if this wins on Lijiang, I'm going to be shocked. Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of the on-run. I think Tracer's just better.
Yeah, I think after the recent round of buffs, like the on-run definitely fits a lot better than it did, because they basically said, you're the weakest character we released, we're going to buff your entire kit, which is kind of fair considering the state that Vendetta was in. Obviously has been nerfed now, less armor and things like that. The Emery has only gotten better for the most part. But yeah, I certainly wouldn't hate the Tracer. We saw some amazing Tracer gameplay. The Reaper could definitely be an answer as well, although you mentioned it, it didn't actually work in the first map, and you literally said in the call, you're like, if they win this is a little bit gross, and sure enough, that was the exact result we saw as Elysium already down to 1 HP again, and then Boba the one to get caught out. So St. Lawrence's defense, they have completely shut things down.
Yeah, it's looking kind of like a repeat of some of those maps on Lijiang Tower. Once again, great job from Yashi being able to get out of there right before it was too dangerous, because they're just 10% away from this Primal, so they can look to get a lot more aggressive in this next fight. But Boba going to have this orbital ray to try and maybe, initiate some sort of team fight win here.
Yeah, we'll see if this Ramatra can eventually shut down the Winston, and we did mention that the Ana gets banned in map 2. There was a reason. The Ana was the MVP of map 1, and it was not particularly close. Every single sleep felt like it was hitting. The nanos were on point, the nades were cooking, and the override protocol able to shut down a Boba. Carol, they pop the rally, but they lose the support in the process. They are able to take Winter Red Bull in exchange, but now Elysium's the next one to go, so St. Lawrence, they've done enough to hang it in. Obviously, the Nano Primal is a big investment, but with the on-run ulti and the Kitsune Rush still alive, they've got enough to keep fighting, but Char is getting run down a little bit. Now the Winston's here to support, though.
Yeah, so you put pressure on point and force a lot of these players back. Playing deep in here is not where the Winston wants to be, but Kitsune Rush might force it.
Yeah, trying to get them sustain the tectonic shock out of MJL, looking to see if they can catch anybody out from the backline, and they are able to catch the Ana. 2 backline members from St. Lawrence getting ripped in the same frame. Yashi will be able to find an answer onto the opposing tank, which means St. Lawrence still has a small chance to take this fight over, especially if the Winston is just completely unleashed in the backline. There is a Death Blossom for Elysium if they see fit, but it looks like St. Lawrence may have gotten enough kills to not warrant using it.
This is not okay. I'm like, in what world do you lose to at the beginning of the fight and you still have a Reaper on the other side and the Winston Cop somehow wins that in a close quarters fight? Like,
with the Death Blossom up.
Big disappointment there from the side of Carol.
Yeah, I mean, literally with the ulti up, that's the position you pick the Reaper, is to get next to the Winston, get next to his Squishy, and pop that ulti and watch the kill feed light up with your name like it's the Hollywood sign. But alas, not to be. The Death Blossom will stay back for a little while. The rally and the Primal Rage will be the responses from both sides. And Carol, I didn't even realize we are already in overtime. I knew the time was getting low, but they have really gotten pushed to the limit. And the Annihilation gets on at the last minute. It's not able to find anything, but finally the Death Blossom can call point. And Carol, by the skin of their teeth, it looks like they may get the bonus.
Yeah, they should. They don't have any kind of speed characters to go be able to touch.
Oh, it's on
so
alive,
big Death Blossom come to save the day, because that would have been a disastrous first point attack. They did have to unleash their entire ultimate economy, but, you had to get that through.
And now at least you gave yourself 2 minutes where if you can win 2 fights very cleanly, you can definitely get to the next time bank without the game being in dire straits like it was, where you're fighting for your life just to stay alive. Nice anti onto Elysium, and actually going to land on Tamu as well, but they are both able to survive, and Nano is online as well when Favor decides it's time to send somebody in. The Ana's trying to get punished, but the peel from the Emery, perfect job to keep the support alive, to keep the Venture off their back. And Carol, losing a player early, but they are at least trying to take progress while they're fighting.
They have nano available, but they're not going to need it.
that
Big
was
sleep,
gross.
big Andy. This is what I was talking about on Lijiang Tower. Favored on this Ana. Just when they get onto this hero, man, it's like something clicks, man. They just hit a whole other level.
And it's a big time because we saw, right, Reaper and Cassidy should be able to handle Winston. Not when the Ana is giving Winston 8,000 healing a second from what it looks like. Favored's certainly been locked in. Then you have a Kiriko on the other side where if they need to step in, they definitely can. And cleanse the Winston, help him extend the Primal and things of that nature. So St. Lawrence looking a lot better here in map 2. They're about to have 5 ultimates online, and now Carol actually going to swap over to the Mauga, so they're going to fully commit to this brawl idea, this complete fistfight comp, but it looks like things aren't necessarily going that well. The override protocol able to find one, the Brig Shield getting vaporized, same with Moo, and Carol losing everybody.
Again, you know that was coming. The Mauga could still have a lot. I mean, it's basically like burst down the Winston composition, which I totally get it between your Mauga, between your Reaper. And then you also have the Venture, who can do a lot of damage and just pester this back line. This is Carol's opportunity, coming up on 4 ultimates. With them, they might be able to get this point cap, and they only have 30 seconds, so this is kind of their last opportunity.
Yeah, Donut's got to be careful. They just took a lot of damage from the on-run before they got some healing there, but you called it 4 ultis online. The Orbital Ray Death Blossom combo looks pretty good to me. Elysium able to shut down the staircase. Yashi does not have the Primal online. There was no nano available for the Winston, so it's going to be a very tough fight with only Char at their back. And again, Carol, I don't know what it is, but they love getting buzzer beaters to extend the time, as the time will go to OT, and then they should be able to get the bonus.
Yeah, that late stagger onto the Winston. I mean, you get one. Oh no, they're not gonna be able to touch.
They got it. Yeah.
Unfortunate. If Kushinada on the Emery could have touched, it could have been dangerous there. But nonetheless, Carol with another hero Death Blossom able to get point number 3.
Yeah, and even Char tried to commit the on-run res, just throw their body onto the cart, try to res and see if they can stall it out a little bit longer. Wasn't a bad idea. Carol now, after literally 2 buzzer beater point crosses there over the finish line, now St. Lawrence, they're going to open the fight with the Kitsune. The Juno getting caught out a little bit. The Winston able to do a ton of damage to the backline, but now maybe overextending. Luckily, the Primal's ready to go, and that means Carol is about to be in big trouble, as Yashi swinging left and right will get CC'd for a second with the rally extending the fight for Carol. They're able to fend off the Primal Rage and hang in the fight, and now Elysium TP's out to safety. They will exchange the Brig in the process, and Favored right now still just trying to deal with the Venture, who's been behind them all game, it feels like.
Oh no, that's 2 picks for the side of Carol. St. Lawrence now has to back up and reposition. 30 seconds left on the clock for Carol because it took them so long on first point. They don't have the time bank, so it's here and now. But look at that Elysium ready for another hero Death Blossom.
And with the Mauga cage this time, whether you want to use the cage to try to keep them in the spawn or the cage Death Blossom is always a valid option as well. And Kushinada, this is a good proactive ultimate with 7 seconds left. You can just try to take away the potential of the big Death Blossom grouping everybody together. The Mauga gets caught out safe with the Juno, and if Elysium doesn't kill the entire team, I don't know if they've got a chance. The Cleanse comes through to take out some of the damage, and now it's MJL versus Yashi for all the marbles. We've got a 1v1. I don't know if Venture's going to have enough HP in the tank to be able to take down the Winston. That will not be the case in St. Lawrence. Oh my goodness, he made it.
Yeah, you get the touch just in time. The spawns overall are better for the side of St. Lawrence, so they're going to have their players coming back. Cage, but a big anti coming in.
They've got to kill the Mauga, and they've got to do it now. They're able to find the sleep. The cage is about to expire as well. Now Elysium's back in the fight. If they can get a pulse bomb online, Carol can maybe bring this back. Favorite's going to get taken out first. They get traded out with Rhea Boba. It's going to be a 4v4 to see who's going to take over the offense. Winter Red Bull with a big shutdown. Yashi able to find one on Moo. I believe St. Lawrence have done enough to win the fight. Now it looks like with Donut and Rhea Boba the only 2 left, they will finally put an end to Carol's buzzer beater antics.
So close indeed for Carol. Almost was able to get another buzzer beater to get that across the line, but to me that would have felt so bad if you're St. Lawrence. Like, man, we played so well on first point to let them cap all 3 in the end, but they were able to get the stop. So now it shifts. St. Lawrence will be attacking. The Winston composition, to me, I mean, it's fine attacking or defending. I mean, obviously defending is going to be better just because you can position yourself immediately and look for your dives, but I still think St. Lawrence has shown us on this Winston composition. They have the goods when it comes to that. And I don't know, man. I feel like the Mauga composition when you're like in like a defensive position. It's a lot harder because Mauga wants to be more proactive, looking for slams, and it's just like, especially on first point, it's going to be really hard to do that with just the huge difference between the low ground and the high ground.
Yeah, it's a good point. He's very, I mean, he can absorb a lot of pressure, of course, but there's a reason there's a charge built into the kit, and he does as much damage as he does, and the cage is built to lock people in there with you. He loves to put pressure on the back line. He loves to take space. That sustained and that big health bar allow him to do so very well. And even Carol, I mean, it's kind of a two-sided coin where St. Lawrence can almost look and say, oh my, like, I can't believe they got as far as they did, considering every single point went to overtime, not something you see super often. And now after they thought they were maybe going to get a P1 stomp, they essentially have to beat the map.
Here we go. We see the Sim coming out to get the support to cross onto the bridge. Char going to go over to the on-run now. Let's see what they can make happen. Elysium going to play the Sojourn this time around. We have not seen that hero out of them just quite yet. And I kind of like that to punish aggressive dives and get people out before like a Winston getting away too quickly. Not if you get a good rail shot.
Yeah, very seldom there's not a place for a Sojourn as long as, like you said, the railgun is on point as favored. Diana getting punished again, and I give MJL a lot of credit. They know exactly who the biggest issue on the team is for a lion's share of the series. If they're able to shut down Favored, the entire backline just feels like it can be depleted in a snap of a finger. And St. Lawrence still looking to put the pressure on here, as we are going to see a little tuck into the underground pass there, as now we get a little bit of sky work. The Mauga, though, able to just go turret mode on top, and MJL and Char going to trade back one another with the DPS, and maybe the 4v4 can open things up for one of these teams, as they are going to try to move the card up here, courtesy of Yashi, but the Winston will be falling back.
St. Lawrence is doing a good job of just playing patient, trying to find their opportunities to be able to dive in. It is tough to burst down a Mauga with a Winston composition, so you have to basically ignore the Mauga and get rid of the ancillary pieces around the Mauga.
Yeah, it's one of those times where sometimes the tank is too tanky, so you just kind of have to ignore it and go for everybody else, because once you're able to catch one of these squishies, then the fight really, really opens up and your life becomes that much easier. The Mauga just has much less support. So, St. Lawrence making a little bit of progress so far, but not too much, as they did get separated from the cart for a little while, with Carol right now building up to these ultimates. It's going to be essentially 5 alive when the next big fight rolls around. At least the rally and the orbital race should be more than enough to make sure they stay alive, but Char has somehow snuck behind enemy lines and was fanning the flames for a lot of damage there, and trying to build that ultimate online fast as possible, looking for the one-shot KO. It is going to be Yashi that falls. It's going to be Tectonic Shock, Rally, and Kitsune Rush, and then the override protocol from the skies from Kushinada to try to call the fight for the side of St. Lawrence, but Carol right now, despite all the aggression they just took, they're still kind of hanging in there.
Yeah, and Elysium still has this overclock that you can pop at any time and just be a win fight button. You still have Nano Winston available, and they're going to press that button, but then can they get any kills with it?
That is the question of the day. The Primal's online as well. It's going to be summoned. Can we at least catch out the Brig? A nice little bomb back. The Winston desperately trying to find a kill in the ulti to make some value, get out of it. And in the meantime, Elysium was able to shut down Charge. Still the overclock to use. I'm not sitting on the cage as well, so Carol, honestly, very good patience out of them. They didn't panic ulti, they didn't waste too many resources there. They were able to clean up a fight, not overextend, not die, and they've got plenty for the next one.
Yeah, as we see, I mean, they're taking a... Okay, getting Weaboba out of the way might be what they're waiting for, but Elysium with the overclock finds one. If they can find another, this is, again, a situation where Carol just continues to find these big-time plays when they need it the most.
Oh, I thought maybe Char was going to be able to find the kill onto Donut, but that Mauga HP bar a little too much. The Emery nade will connect, and now Char getting ready in the ulti, looking for the dive bomb. A little bit of damage goes through, and now it's going to be a cage and a rally. The on-run is trapped and nowhere to go. A disruption charge to finish them off. Weaboba will get shut down by the Emery, but this Mauga very low as they try to dive the backline. The cleanse will get expended. Only 15 seconds left for St. Lawrence. They are able to find a big nade kill onto the Brig, though they might be able to squeeze it here and put the pressure on.
Oh, the Emery ultimate coming in from Kushinada, able to find two. They do get taken down to the end with 1 second on the clock. They find their hero play with the Emery ultimate and the team follow up. They're able to keep their hopes alive on Gibraltar and get it in overtime.
Oh, that's every single point so far. This game has gone the distance. I would not be surprised if it plays out the exact same way and we essentially have a neck-and-neck finish here at the end, but oh, nice little Kobe there over the top. A triple ante. If they can get some follow-up onto the Mauga, might be able to put a little more pressure on. They are going to get moved down low again, and they've been doing a very good job at least keeping the Mauga extremely low 90% of the time, so we really can't go in for that crazy play when they may have an opportunity. But the Nano is ready. Yashi will about to have the Primal. So St. Lawrence, minute 50, not that much space to get the time bonus. They've got plenty in the tank, but not an on-run anymore. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, but 2 trades coming in because of great sleep and anti-nade coming in from Favored once again. All they gotta do is get rid of this pesky Mauga, and they are able to because they got rid of everyone around the Mauga this time.
Yeah, Honor the Ana again after the game. As right when it looked like Carroll had a big team fight, as you said, a big anti-big combo, and instantly the fight is swung in St. Lawrence's favor. They capitalize on the opportunity, and now they've got a crisp, clean 245 to try to win the map here and at least try to give themselves an advantage. Though, actually, yeah, no, Carroll didn't finish, so it wouldn't just be the outright win. They would love to get this 2-1 series lead back under their belt with the Ana still being unhandcuffed the rest of the way.
And a great job from Yashi stuffing that window and not allowing them to touch either. So 2.5 minutes and Kushinada has found the pick onto Mu, which is just going to buy a lot of free cart push as long as they take down this Mauga, and they are able to. So again, St. Lawrence seems to have found their groove. These fights are going a lot more cleanly this time around as the Venture MJL gets punished.
I think they died in the very last frame before they went underground. Bad timing all around, and we are going to have 10 ultimates for the next team fight, and MJL, of course, will be back for it with a minute 50 on the clock. St. Lawrence does have to be a little careful that if they have a fight where they trade 3 ultis for 2 or something and end up losing, it could be rough. We're going to get Kitsune, Nano, Winston, overclock from Elysium, and a nice anti lands onto Donut. We are going to see Kitsune Orbital Ray coming through and finishing off for both sides. No kills to go through yet, but it is Carroll. I literally just mentioned if it ends up being a few ultis for a couple, if they lose the fight, it might get a little sketchier, but they do still have the on-run, the override protocol, and the primal, so definitely 3 ultimates that can change the tide of a fight.
I think the one that St. Lawrence has kind of been using as their win condition has been that override protocol, so a lot rides on Kushinada's back, but they get this fight when it is over. The cart is just right by the golden box of victory.
Yeah, I think the entire Overwatch world has been getting backpacked by the override protocol the last few weeks. That is one of the, maybe the most, impactful ultimate we've seen in the last little while. It just take to the skies, 2-shot everybody as the on-run going for the dive bomb. Char not able to connect on a kill. Blue answers with the rally. MJL down to 1 HP. The Mauga will get slept, so the cage will be delayed. I don't know if the Mauga's going to be able to walk away. Living still on 1 HP. They will trade. Winter gets exchanged, and the Tectonic Shock able to shut down the Emery. Carroll with a counter punch of a lifetime, and St. Lawrence walks away empty-handed.
Okay, this is everything for St. Lawrence, Jobin. They were able to get every ult that Carroll had left. I mean, Elysium again, 30% to another ultimate. But Kushinada should be able to get in extremely fast with this override protocol. They got to make the play right now.
Elysium may very well, I mean, probably will have the overclock online, and oh, not if they get picked off early, just like that, though. No chance from the override. There's nowhere to hide behind the boxes. The Brig's got nowhere to go. Oh, yeah, here's the newest ultimate to the Overwatch scene, making a name. Kushinada with the pentakill to win the map for St. Lawrence.
Ooh, a lot closer than you were probably hoping if you're St. Lawrence, because, clutch time coming in with the Reaper on Carroll, but able to get the goods done. Kushinada able to win it, rightfully so, with the play of the game, gets the 5K, gets you up 2-1 in the series.
Yeah, no words need to be said. Simply override protocol in 2026. We're going to be seeing this until Blizzard decides they don't want it to be OP anymore, but making the most of it. And you said right, you can take away our other 4 ultimates as long as we have the Emery ready to go. We essentially have a space laser that we're going to send one by one. And St. Lawrence, really good job to just stay composed in a game that was literally full of up and downs from the second Carroll started on offense.
This has been an incredible back and forth series. So now all St. Lawrence needs is one more map and they will be moving on in the bracket for nationals. We're going to go to a quick break and allow these teams some time to make some changes, figure out what they want to do going forward. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
You'll still have common days. Put off your term papers till the last minute. Eat cold pizza right out of the fridge. Update your fantasy roster. This is not one of those days. A few weeks a year and you'll discover the most uncommon time of your life. You'll still have common days. Put off your term papers till the last minute. Eat cold pizza right out of the fridge. Update your fantasy roster. This is not one of those days. A few weeks a year and you'll discover the most uncommon time of your life.
I stand back and I watch you explore in perfect vision, like I've been here before. Falling faster, I try to ignore. I see you, I see you. I'll let you drag me to hell if you hold my hand. Tell me this is real and it will never end. This is not what I came here to find. Memories show that I'm out of time. See a shadow, don't know if it's mine, but I see you, I see you, I see you, I see Way too many faces in the crowd, but I think that I see you. One too many days got me changing up the way that I need you. Now we're both at a bar, acting like it's not hard, trying to feel something different. Talk to somebody new, kinda wish it was you, kinda numb to the feeling. Now that you're gone, they say time should heal, but it's been too long. Couple months and I can't seem to move on. I can't seem to move on. I can't seem to. I can't seem to. Not that you're gone. I can't seem to. I can't seem to. Laying on my floor, thinking about all the things that we've been through. From 24/7 to pretending like I never met you. No, it's all for the best, cause I know we're a mess every time we're together. Going out of my mind, and I wish I could lie, tell you that it gets better. Now that you're gone, they say time should heal, but it's been too long. Couple months where I can't seem to move on. I can't seem to move on. I can't seem to. I can't seem to. I can't seem to. Now that you're gone, they say time should heal, but it's been too long. Couple months and I can't seem to move on. I can't seem to move on. I can't seem to.
Forge Trials is presented by the Army National Guard.
Welcome back from the break, everybody. Jobin and Ray. We've got a 2-1 series in favor of St. Lawrence over Carroll. A very, very close back and forth map to every single point of Gibraltar. OT, I mean, we essentially had like quintuple overtime by the end of the map, but St. Lawrence eventually, they played true to their style, and they were able to close out the show and take that lead they desperately wanted.
Yeah, again, it was just great clutch plays on both sides. The DPS on both sides making big time plays, whether it came to Death Blossoms or override protocols. It was very impressive. So we do have some keys to uncommon traits, for St. Lawrence's team. We need to keep Favorite alive on this Ana and support in general. They have been killing it for you guys. They're a big reason to your success, and keep that going. You've looked best when you are playing your dives, so continue to play that composition and continue to thrive. You've looked good in it, and yeah, continue to play that Emery, man. That Emery has been dealing and wheeling in their best opportunities in all situations.
Yeah, Elysium and MJL have been are the biggest reason that Carroll has been in the game for a lion's share. When the DPS have been kind of shut down, then St. Lawrence has been able to essentially run the game over. That's when Winston has looked like Thanos. And when you see Robo on the other side, and I like seeing tanks be able to play 8 or 9 different options, but it also kind of scares me when it's like, okay, Arissa, maybe the Mauga's going to work. Okay, try the mirror mode with the Winston. Now we're going to go back to the Ramatra. So Carroll definitely figuring out a lot of things on their own. And I think we have a few keynotes for them as well, which are kind of going to go hand in hand what we said with St. Lawrence. I know at least for Carroll, they just have to generally fix some of the team fights, make sure these DPS are going to be staying alive, and of course, just protect the supports as much as you can. You need to make sure Robo is going to stay alive, regardless of what brawl tank they're playing, which seems to be the style they like. And I think we did actually hear that. I think Winston got banned from the Carroll side, so all the dive talk we said, unless there's a diva in the back pocket, we'll see if that actually ends up impacting them.
Agreed. And yeah, this is true. The other thing that was a key for the side of Carroll is plan your pathing better. And I know it matters a lot more when you're playing Mauga on Gibraltar, because your positioning has to be absolutely perfect, or you're kind of just throwing on the composition. But we have seen different situations and different opportunities where the team has definitely felt split. They weren't sure exactly how they wanted to attack or path. And when you're playing Mauga, I'm not sure if they're going to continue to do that, but it relies pretty heavily on being together as a unit. So hopefully they can clean that up and force a map number 5.
Yeah, as we said, though, right, there had definitely been a few bright spots. I think MJL actually did a phenomenal job of dealing with Favorite as much as they did. Favorite essentially went, I think we were actually watching map 1. Carroll only had like 4 kills halfway through round 2 almost, or like just out of the spawn. So they couldn't pick off anybody at all to start off the Lijiang before they eventually mounted the comeback. MJL on the Echo and the Venture have made so many key plays, whether it was the Echo replicating to the Brig earlier, getting the Venture and shutting down a few massive players in big fights. So they've definitely got to focus St. Lawrence on making sure we can target out these DPS, because for me at least, they've clearly been Elysium, you saw all the ultis and all the big pop-off plays the Emery is running every single lobby. So St. Lawrence up 2-1 at least, and I don't know if we actually have the map yet. I was trying to think of it, but I don't know if we actually got told. That's what it was. Okay, yeah, and of course, the Nationals and the Forge Trials are presented by the Army National Guard. You can find your calling at nationalguard.com. And like I said, speaking of guard, you got to guard those supports, guard those DPS, and it is going to be Atlas as the next map, which I personally am a big fan of. Still not seeing too many teams pick it up or anything like that, but I do think it's a very fun map to watch.
Yeah, Atlas definitely going to lend itself a little bit better to more of a brawl style, so I think it's nicely picked map from the side of Carroll. What's our other remaining map? What is it? Hybrid still left, I believe. Yeah, because we went to push. Yeah, so that's going to make things interesting if we do end up going to map number 5. But I digress. I will say, for St. Lawrence, if this does go to map 5, at least you know you can take us to more of a Winston-based hybrid map, and you know you can play Winston for sure. But the Brig ban coming out from St. Lawrence, I think it's a good one. We saw a lot of value coming out from the side of Carroll when they were on that Brig. Their rallies were going really strong, and they were doing a great job of deterring away the Onron. So as we load up in the lobby, we see from the side of Carroll that they're looking to go in the direction of Hazard, which, again, haven't seen Hazard as much recently, but a map like this where it's got some intermediate high ground area, I think the Hazard can go pretty strong. I'd love to comment about these other heroes, but I just don't know if they're actually going to walk out on them.
I'm in the same boat.
They are going to play the Doomfist, which did not expect that on my bingo card, but Doomfist, man, if you get rolling on that hero, it is really hard to stop them. But we do know Carroll has the propensity to be able to play that Orisa, which is the #1 counter to the Doomfist.
Yeah, and for St. Lawrence, right, we've honestly only seen Yashi on the Winston the entire series, really, so we have to see if they, well, unfortunately, not the best start. And you mentioned, right, the Doomfist, it's got an extremely high ceiling, but boy, is that floor just as low. If things aren't going well, it feels like you are not only fairly useless, but being an active detriment to the team. Hopefully, Yashi can either make a switch or figure it out sooner than later, as Carol did gain access to the first point. And speaking about the hazard, I think it's a fine pick, but it definitely is a lot more of a situational and like niche pick for a lot of players.
As we see Favor get taken down by Elysium, and you're getting picks going back and forth. Char did end up going over back to that on-run, but man, this amount of damage you can throw down with MJL on this Junkrat, combined with the dive ability of the hazard, it is just too much to handle as Carol jumps out to a big percentage lead on this point.
And I do like seeing Robo on the hazard, right? Not that the Mauga and the other picks weren't good, but the hazard just gives you that extra little oomph where now all of a sudden you can be the one to just dive on a target that maybe just burned a cooldown or maybe walked out too far in front of their team, can obviously do a ton of damage, has an extremely strong ultimate if you can catch people out and CC them, so this definitely can find them a lot of value. The Mizuki too, not a pick that you see very often, but it could definitely tether that Doomfist down and ruin his day.
That it can, but Kushinada has found that opening pick and they're able to clean up even more. This Doomfist composition, you do have to move relatively quickly because you can blow up quickly, as we've seen a lot, especially with the amount of damage that the Carol composition has at their disposal. So being able to get that early with Kushinada, I do like the ability to go over to the Sojourn, so you have those rail shots to possibly get these early picks. So they made some nice adjustments.
Now with the Elysium on the Cassidy, that'll certainly be a good way to deal with it, especially if the Doomfist doesn't have backline access. The on-run, a little bit trickier to deal with the Cassidy at range, especially if Elysium shoot like they have been the whole series, as Charge Fist not going to land, and there's the Mizuki value coming through. Yashi does get stunned up for a second, and in the meantime, they're going to take up the DPS, and Carol deciding to pull the trigger at the perfect moment. With Char and Yashi being down, I don't think there will be much resistance, and I am correct, as it's only going to be 1 or 2 players left alive. 57% all St. Lawrence gets, and it looks like Carol's taking P1.
Yeah, they didn't have to commit a single ultimate, so they got to be feeling pretty good about being able to win those fights without that. So when we get to this next point, we're coming up on almost 5 ultimates from either side, but getting MJL down early is good, but you don't want to exchange it for your Curie.
Oh, and then the value of the hazard, talking about damage per second, able to hold the right click at the deflection, and able to get the slash with the claw over there onto Char, and now Carol again, still 15 seconds to the point unlock, so St. Lawrence may be able to make it back before a capture gets through, but Carol's got that defensive positioning they probably want.
That they do. 5 ultimates coming up from both sides, so who is going to take that early advantage and go quick?
It's going to be a Kitsune at a move first to see if Carol can push the pace. Deadeye and Riptire. Oh, the Riptire takes down 2. The Deadeye able to zone everybody off, and the Riptire catching a few people unaware. The Junkrat going nuclear, getting 4 out of the 5 in the feed, and Carol running them down. The good thing for St. Lawrence, you only use the Tidal Blast, but a fight win is a fight win for Carol.
Yeah, 3-for-1 ult exchange. We do see Wintered Bowl going over to the Ana now, which remember we've seen Favored do that, so
oh yeah,
kind of swapped roles here.
I didn't even notice that.
I'm not a big fan of that.
Yeah, I mean, especially right. I mean, literally, the Ana. Don't want to like talk too much about one player, but they literally were that good for the entire series so far. So definitely a little bit interesting to say the least. And St. Lawrence, they're popping ultis, but they're the ones losing the fight immediately. Elysium, the only one that gets taken down low. Sojourn desperately fighting to find a kill. They will eventually get on the board, but the Mizuki Junkrat combo able to shut down the remaining pieces of St. Lawrence. They did get the capture, but I think that's going to be a fleeting moment of happiness because they got pushed off immediately.
Yeah, and again, the downpour from Robo Donut was actually really good because Kushinada was going for the overclock. They got hit by the downpour and everyone just scattered, so you couldn't hit anyone with it. So didn't find any kills, but it just stopped Kushinada from being able to find kills themselves.
Oh, and then instantly Char getting caught out again, which, I mean, trying to save the point, understandable, but that point was very hopeless at that juncture. It is going to be Carol. Honestly, just another dominant map out of them. We saw the Esperanza wasn't particularly close either, and you're just wondering where this team goes in certain stretches, but the comp they've pulled out is giving St. Lawrence fits right now.
Yeah, MJ on this Junkrat. I mean, didn't expect to, see the Junkrat trap getting so much value, but I mean, against an on-run, I kind of get it. Especially, put it just in a nice, area where you expect people to be pathing, and it's going to catch someone, and it's just very nice adjustments coming in from the side of Carol.
And in a vacuum, the Mizuki Junkrat combo honestly doesn't seem too bad. It at least makes the trap a little easier to land. I know it's not a guaranteed combo CC, but Elysium popping the Deadeye early, Robo able to hold the deflection onto Favored. That means Carol's got the advantage again, and Yashi's 1 HP, so there's no way you're getting away from MJL. And Carol, again, they're going to win another fight for free with St. Lawrence. Maybe getting staggered out momentarily unless they're able to back up a bit.
Yeah, Yashi, been kind of going over to the Ram now off of the Doom. Winter Bolt down, Kushinada down. Carol is just thriving, man. They are not letting up, keeping the foot on the gas pedal. They are showing that, they aren't messing around. They're ready to force map number 5. And already 40% and counting. Carol, 4 ultimates is ball in their back pocket. Favored now on the Mercy. It's just not a good sign that you just are just throwing stuff at the wall hoping it works.
No, yeah, pulling a Mercy out down 2-0, 50% P3 and Flashpoint usually means that we don't know what's going to work either, so we are trying literally everything under the book, and that's why I was right, Carol, I mean, this is certainly not either one of the comps I expected to see. At least Carol is piloting it perfectly for what the job is. MJL, we mentioned, had been incredible on the Echo and a few other heroes, finding value on the Junkrat. Now the Riptire looking to find the answer. We do see the Overclock finding Moo, but the Cassidy Elysium, they're making their name known again. The Riptire finally makes their mark in a Deadeye to call game, and we're going map 5.
Carol came into that map just a whole different team, and that map was not close. Felt very Esperanza-esque, right? Like where they dominated, full capped, and it just St. Lawrence was never able to find their footing. To me, this series, man, is probably going to come down to, is there a good dive map that St. Lawrence can take us to in the hybrid selection?
Yeah, I think we just saw St. Lawrence try to play Carol's game, and we saw it on Esperanza. We just saw it there. I don't think you want to try to play into that. Granted, I don't think they expected to see that comp either, but the Hazard, the Junkrat, both just getting so much value, and I do like that Robo can just say, listen, I know I was kind of playing the statue tanks earlier. I've got a bit of a dive bag too, even if it's not as extravagant as a Winston or a Diva. I will be able to catch you out and one-shot you, and then we saw the Riptire right when the cleanse goes down. You find a double kill to call game. Elysium, a quieter game, so to speak, still pops off at the end and kills 4, I think, to win the game for them. So Carol definitely has the firepower, and the maps that they've won, they've looked a lot better.
Yeah, looking at the map pool for hybrid, it looks like it's Blizzard World, Eichenwald, and Midtown. So, I mean, I feel like you got to press the Blizzard World button and go play Winston on that map. Definitely not Midtown. Midtown is going to play into Carol's hand very hard.
Yeah, I would not be going to Midtown, and not everybody is necessarily a Diva player, and maybe, you might have different thoughts if you think it's the best pick in the game, but surprised we haven't at least seen it to some degree. I feel like that could have been very, very good into the Hazard as well. At least you can get away from the Hazard if they do get on top of you. You can at least space it out a little bit easier. Might not be the best pick into the comp in general, but at least trying a few other things instead of, well, we're down 1,000,000 points. Let's chuck the Mercy into the sky, and we're going to see if that can solve all our problems.
Only time will tell us. We need map picks and hero bans from both of these teams. But for anyone who wasn't here from the jump, map 1 was played off stream. It was Lee, Zhang, Tower, Winston up against the Ram, and St. Lawrence was able to take that a lot on the back of their Ana gameplay. Map number 2 is Esperanza, as I kind of, talked about earlier. Was not close, generally speaking. Full cap from the side of Carol. And then we went to Gibraltar, where we had a banger, very close back and forth. St. Lawrence was able to get it off the back of a 5K from Kushinada on the override protocol at the end. And then, I mean, you saw that last map. So to me, it's felt like when we're in Brawl, one team runs over the other. When we're in Dive, it's been kind of close. So even if we do go to a Dive map, I still think Carol's got all the chance in the world.
Oh, we just got word from the back room that we're actually going to Midtown with St. Lawrence banning away the Cassidy. So they're saying, listen, we've got something cooked up, or we're too stubborn to change our approach and change our ideas. We think Midtown's going to be our best chance. So we're going to see exactly right. Not necessarily every part of the map is not necessarily the greatest for dive. There is definitely a lot of intricacies in some of the side rooms, but St. Lawrence, they're going to live and die in New York City and see if they can walk away and keep the Nationals run going.
Yeah, that's a very perplexing map pick. I would be favoring Carroll 9 times out of 10 on a map like Midtown. But who knows? I mean, if you're gonna bring us to that with you got to have it kind of map, and they bring you here, maybe they got something cooked up. Farah could possibly be in the game plan. I've seen Farah played a decent amount on Midtown, so I'm excited. I mean, especially with no casts available either, so.
I do worry. Elysium, the Emery, that just means Emery's on the table for Elysium, and I think that pick, I mean, even if the pick itself isn't as good the whole time, the ultimate will just win you a team fight for free. As long as you're close enough to landing the shots, unless 4 players train their eyes to the sky to take down the Emery, sometimes when the fight, there's too much skirmishing going on, and right now, Carroll has been thriving in just the utter chaos. Last map was just, everybody go take your own fight. We're going to meet up in the middle. MJL, go do your thing. The Hazard's going to go off on their own mission this time, not as reliant on the supports in some fights. So definitely would be favoring Carroll this map as well. But I just really hope we see some sort of shakeup in the St. Lawrence comp, because if they try the same thing again, I think Carroll might walk away easily here.
I agree 100%. And we do have the Carroll ban coming in. They are going to ban that Kiri. So the Ana Kiri definitely not going to be on the table for the side of St. Lawrence. So they're going to have to adjust with that regard. I mean, if you want to play Ana Briggs still on the table, very good support combination. But again, a map like Midtown, be hard to imagine that you go Ana Brig. But again, only time will tell.
And again, talking about that Ana, just real strange to see the supports randomly shuffle their hands in the last map when Favored had been arguably the best player in the series outside of like an MJL or maybe an Elysium. Like, those are probably the 3 stars of the game, if you want to call it that. And we just decided to put Favored on the Kiriko, Winter Red Bull on the Ana, which they had a fine performance, but it just is like kind of what was the reason. Like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it is a very real statement, even though it's real cliche. There's a reason it sticks and it works so well. But now we get to see exactly what gets cooked up in Carroll. Yeah, we're going to play right into our style. MJL on the Echo, Elysium Emery. We do unfortunately have a pause. I don't know if the server destroyed itself or not, but we at least get to peek at the comps. Winter Red Bull going to be hovering the Alari with Favored back on the Ana. At least Yashi and Favored and Kushinada and Char, at least they're playing 4 heroes I know they've had success on today.
Yeah, the defensive comp is exactly what we've seen St. Lawrence play. I mean, we kind of saw similar to this on Lijiang Tower, and they're able to get the wins. So, maybe it's possible. I was proven wrong on map number 1. It just, that Esperanza just gives me so much pause. Is Carroll highlighting a Reinhardt composition, which I'm all for, but you need some sort of speed when you're playing Reinhardt, and at least as it currently stands, they're not showing any kind of speed.
Yeah, we did see the Mizuki at least get good value last map, but I think any support probably would have worked. Carroll just beat the brakes off of St. Lawrence. I don't really think it mattered what one support change would have made. I think the way they were dealing damage, there wasn't much that was going to stop that bowling ball rolling downhill. But St. Lawrence, we're back on mostly comfort. The Alari, of course, is going to be a little new flavor. Elysium will give us a cheeky little Widow hover, at least for now. We will see if anything. I mean, if there is a player in the game that's been playing a lot of hit scan, that's been playing well, this is a player I would have faith to maybe catch one out.
Yeah, I will say, if we are going the direction of the Reinhardt, these DPS don't necessarily make the most sense. I mean, what is Ryan shielding and trying to help walk forward with? I mean, Echo kind of just goes on her own and does her own thing. And at least, I'm sure Widow's just, taking a shot, but Widow wants distance.
Yeah, both of these DPS want nothing to do with the frontline fight. They want to be in another zip code, doing their own thing, charging up the beam, landing headshots. So both of the snipers or the long range, I should say, are actually going to stick. We'll see if Elysium can find a nice little montage headshot there and possibly open up the fight. Nothing doing quite yet, but now, though, the Alari getting punished early, and I said I had faith in Elysium's shot, but the Winston, that's how you deal with the Widow. You put Yashi on their comfort and you send them to him.
Yeah, and this is where things get tough when they're able to get on top, both DPS down, but it's a 2-for-2 trade. So Reinhardt, however, took a lot of damage, gonna have to recuperate and slow. They don't have any kind of speed to get on top of anyone though, so that's the other issue. Is just Ryan's gonna struggle with that, but a great sleep coming in from Moo.
Yeah, see if they can actually find the combo. The anti lands. Kushinada shuts down the Mizuki in the meantime, so St. Lawrence, nice early pick to start the fight. The Reinhardt looking a little worse for wear. Same with Char and Kushinada. They will retreat and get some healing. Support now respawning for Carol, so the 5v5 will be back in a moment as the charge will land onto Yashi. They will be able to retreat as well, and bit of jockeying for position so far. Only a couple kills, but the defense is holding up.
So far, so good. He's going to keep these dives up, but Elysium gets the better end of the Emery duel.
Yeah, that is not what you want to see. That's a very sleepy Reinhardt as well, and Yashi able to take advantage in the meantime. And now MJL finding catching Favorite out off guard. St. Lawrence still at least able to keep a few players alive. The Winston has been getting so much value, but the nanoed Reinhardt already. Moo charged that thing up in no time, but Carol taking advantage off of it. I cannot believe the nano was already online, and Robo more than happy to receive it.
Yeah, they could look to touch here, but they don't really have the numbers to take. And with 3 people standing on point for the side of Carol, that should just be the point cap. I say that, but a couple players have left, and they go for the touch, but don't get it.
Oh, that means the on-run ulti's down. That means a lot of cooldowns are offline for St. Lawrence. At least just the on-run ulti. Carol, though, they didn't need to use anything. They said, okay, sick, you want to try to get the touch? We're just going to blow you up because you're all by yourself. That's a cute little Phoenix dive bomb you tried, but that's not going to do anything to our comp as we are set up. And now Carol, right, we said Midtown definitely could be a questionable pick for St. Lawrence. It kind of plays into Carol's hands, and so far, so good for him.
Yeah, that was a disastrous fight, unfortunately, for the side of St. Lawrence. They do get the pick onto the Elysium to start getting their positions and taking the forward positions away instead of Carol, especially now that you've got you need to chill.
Yeah, now Robo, though, actually going to win the tank 1v1. I thought maybe Yashi would look for a primal angle, but deciding, nope, we're willing to give Carol a little bit more space here. We are going to see triple ultimates online for Carol, and a well-placed shatter, despite how telegraphed it can be at times, can absolutely shut down a fight, but the damage from the on-run, too much. The burn damage able to shut down Robo, and now Yashi, more space opened up because the tank is down. Favored will find the nade onto the Echo, a nice throw. Yashi still doing a really good job, has been playing a very, very strong game, just trying to hold that front line.
Carol still got plenty of ultimates, all 5 of them, for this next fight. So St. Lawrence has to be aware of this and ready. They do have a lot of, they have the Scavenger Sun.
Oh, and Nano Override Protocol. We'll see if Elysium can actually find anything. The answer is going to be no. Both Skywalkers getting shut down by Favorite and Kushinada. Carol somehow popping 2 big ultimates, and they walk away empty-handed. They will force the Primal and the Solar Flare from Winter and Yashi, but you're more than happy if you're St. Lawrence to take that trade every day of the week.
No doubt. I mean, you did have to use your Primal and your Captive Sun, but to get Nano Override Protocol and live through it, that's absolutely nuts. And they still have a Nano to be able to use of their own in this next fight. I like the position they put themselves in.
I was about to say, my eyes are now on MJL to see where they replicate over to. It is going to be the Winton. We are seeing a nice pin, though, out of Robo. Not able to find the kill onto it. I believe that's going to be MJL. There is a Nano Yashi in the fight as well. Now Favored going to summon that cooldown. And Carol, MJL did actually get the Primal, was able to fall away, but the Winston showing them who the real monkey is. Finding the shutdown, and now a lot of damage up onto the high ground. And Carol again, just getting stuffed.
Yeah, and you got Kakai Sanctuary foreshadowed you through the side of Carol. That was not a great use of those ultimates. They weren't able to gain a whole lot. I mean, you get the cart to this corner, but Kushinada again popping off.
Every time Carol maybe looks like they get an advantage, it's just Yashi, Kushinada, and Char lighting up the feed. And St. Lawrence fighting back in a big way. Now they've got the Primal cycled all the way back online. They've got the Overclock. You burn the Replicate Override. And now they're going to be in the advantageous position with Carol. Realistically, 2 big fights left, maybe 1.5, depending on how things shake out.
Yeah, we got a Nano and Shatter for Carol. Beside of St. Lawrence, they're going to have both their DPS ultimates and this Primal Rage. Robodon, it seems like they're trying to look for a shatter, but not able to find anything. This is the problem with the Reinhardt when you don't have speed. They're just going to poke you from a distance, get rid of your shielders, light you on fire as we just saw. You're just going to get blown up.
And I may have missed it, but if Robo has shattered this game, I don't think it caught anybody, but I'm also sure it's a 50-50 shot. They have actually not used the ulti yet because they haven't really had a good time or place to use it. I could be misremembering, but I certainly haven't seen the shatter set up a team-winning fight because, I mean, obviously, they haven't gotten to the checkpoint, so they haven't really won much of anything the last couple of minutes. They've got 20 seconds of nano shatter and hopefully a lot of prayer and see if they can win a fight.
Here we go. We see the Winston set up in a really good position. Is Yashi, who's forced to get out, but they get MJL.
I don't even know how they took MJL out. It looked like they were trying to back away. The shatter will connect onto a few players, but now there's a Nano Winston and a Solar Flare. Char able to get the res on themselves, and the Override Protocol getting shut down by the support. Carol not able to make it back to the cart, and St. Lawrence making up for lost time after map 4, and they are in a dominant position to win now.
I did not expect them to be able to get the hold so, early on in this second point, playing the Winston composition. Again, I kind of talked about it. Saw it on Lee's Young Tower. They proved me wrong. To me, they proved me wrong again here, but they still have to finish the job. They need to still win this for me to fully be proven wrong.
Yeah, there's still a little bit of work left to be done. Right, it's a game of runs, just like we saw St. Lawrence's defense boss up there. Carroll absolutely can do the same thing, but it is nice to see St. Lawrence honestly just get shoved into a locker all of map 4 and like nothing happened. You walk out map 5 and you just take the fight to Carroll even when things look a little bit dicey. You have Yashi finishing with 15 and 2 as far as kills and deaths. 7k damage on the Winston after the first round. 8k mitigated. That is a peak tank performance. Of course, the rest of the squad filling in where they need to. Kushinada putting up almost 7k as well. Obviously, the Reinhardt shield helping out a bit. And now Elysium back to basics, and we're going to bust out the Bastion and see if we can steal this map.
I can't protect you.
Extremely impressive so far from St. Lawrence, but as I mentioned, they got to bring it home. But what Carroll is running on this defense is going to be extremely tough for a Winston. Bastion is no fun for a Winston player. They just blow you up immediately, even through your bubble.
Yeah, that hitbox plus the bubble HP is no match for minigun mode, but the Bastion could very well get caught up by a few well-placed railgun shots if Kushinada's on the mark. Same with the Alari to a lesser degree, just another poke hero that can be a little bit annoying and harder to exploit with the mobility, but Elysium now going to stand up, and Char, they're going to be the first one taken down, so St. Lawrence maybe getting a little too excited there. They will take MJL back in tow with the Sojourn though, so they can maybe try to push this fight a little bit longer, but the Winston looks like they're getting zoned off pretty big style, so... Oh, and now we're just going to dive right to the back line, but a very well-placed sleep is going to set Yashi on their stomach for a few seconds. They are able to back away and live, and Carroll right now just fighting to hold on.
Yeah, a lot of pressure being thrown down onto Yashi once again, but Favorite's doing a great job in keeping them alive on this Ana.
We'll see the Echo. Oh, targeted up by Favorite there for a quick moment. See if they can get some chip damage onto MJL as Yashi will have to get away, and now the Bastion in a bit of trouble. Last second healing from the supports, but the Alari damage overwhelms Elysium. And Carroll gonna lose a player in the fight, but luckily they took 2 of St. Lawrence's in exchange, make it 3, and maybe a 4th getting lined up here favored. No idea how they ended up living, but it's essentially okay. I was gonna say, someone surely gotta get the finish. MJL will take care of it. And St. Lawrence, your defense was good. The offense, little bit to be desired 2 minutes in.
Yeah, the thing is, they didn't get that far on the second point for Carroll, so it's like, as long as you get this point with an okay amount of time, you put yourself in a winning position. Nanos from both of these sides at the helm for both of these teams.
Yeah, Elysium just about to get the ulti as well to maybe catch the Ana of all people out. It's a low mobility hero, obviously. If the ultimate is dead center, it'd be hard to dodge. They are going to nano the Echo, hoping MJL can get the replicate online, but they're not able to get any percentage up. They get nanoed, and finally now they're able to do some damage. Robo not able to connect on the pin. The nanoed Winston means that St. Lawrence looks like they have decided enough is enough. They should be able to win the fight as long as they can lock the rest of the fight down. The Bastion ulti will be summoned. No kills to be found, and the Reinhardt right now, the Shatter will get sent out last second out of desperation. Not able to find any kills, only a few CC'd. And yeah, St. Lawrence's fight through and through.
I was going to be curious to see if MJ will look to commit there, especially with the dupe, but I think the smart thing is just to let them have it. 3.5 minutes. Still plenty of time for the side of St. Lawrence, but Carol, I don't think that's like some huge time bank. We're like, man, they're just bound to get this eventually.
Yeah, now you win 2 to 3 fights, and all of a sudden it says like a minute 40, and you're like, we're in striking distance now. This is extremely winnable. So just got to navigate the first few fights, try to minimize the errors. As I say that, Moo will get jumped on by Yashi, and if I know St. Lawrence, with all these ultis in the back pocket, this is a very good time to honestly just try to win the map.
Yeah, Overclock's going to get popped by Kushinada. Do they get to find the follow-up picks? They do find the pick on the Robo Donut. This is where things starting to look rough for the side of Carol. They have to get out and regroup as a 5. They can't keep getting staggered.
Oh, but with the on-run, Winston double dive on the backline. It's very hard to avoid. I mean, St. Lawrence just in-your-face style. Char able to shut down Elysium. We are going to see Chill pops the ulti, instantly gets taken down after MJL will replicate onto the Yana. And oh my goodness, Carol not able to find a touch. St. Lawrence, nice counterpunch on the offense. They will walk away a map 5 scare, but the 7th seed will take down the 10th seed and they'll be moving on.
Very well played from St. Lawrence. Shut me up there. The Winston composition played extremely well. Once they're able to break through first point, the second point was always going to be much more favorable. And they showed why. Just being able to dive easily onto those high ground positions without having to path as much like the Reinhardt does. It just makes the job of breaking through second point that much easier. And getting an early pick onto the Ana, you can't ask for much more.
Yeah, the second they saw that, I can guarantee the comms were like, we have to go win the map right now, because if we end up losing this fight, we are never going to leave ourselves down, especially in map 5, when a series where you had the lead, you won map 1, you took the lead again later on, you gave it up, Carol slapped you around on map 4, but that map 5 was clean as ever. So they're going to move on in Nationals, but Carol, definitely no shame there. I mean, you literally took us to the brink. The Gibraltar was an absolute classic as well. They gave it all on the server, but unfortunately, St. Lawrence finally figured out that secret formula. It only took a few maps of getting beat up.
Yeah, so we still have one more game for you guys. It's going to be a banger rematch between the UNH Chargers varsity going against UGA Black. But we do need to take some time to set that up. It should be like, give or take 10 minutes. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back for another banger series.
Go on myself. I'm cold steel stainless. My glass half full. Always said don't suffer no fools. Serpents daydream. I bite, you call me lovely. Got a sweet tooth. I'm gonna get the sugar from you. When they say I'm a machine gun, I take it as a compliment. Honey, you should know I can be a weapon. I can be a weapon. Come a cold blood, selfish. Your words are painless. I like when I drive and it feels so dangerous. They say I'm a red flag, 'cause they want it so bad. You should know I'm holding on to what I have. When they say I'm a machine gun, I take it as a compliment. Honey, you should know I can be a weapon. I can be a weapon.
I wish we stayed the same. I got way too many thoughts in my brain, but I got memories that run through my veins. I'm not one to blame, but I could point out every way that you changed. Some things stay up while others go right down the drain. And lately we've been going down in flames. But if I'm honest, I get in my feels when I want you. Say you feel it too, I'll haunt you. Hold on till I'm lost in nirvana. But if I'm honest, I get in my feels when I want you. Say you feel it too, I'll haunt you. Hold on till I'm lost in nirvana. But if I'm my therapist is saying that I should. I don't believe her, but I really wish I could. Instead, I guess I'll stay misunderstood. Oh, 'cause I'm stuck now, just trying to figure a way out. I've tried but can't seem to slow down, and I don't know if I want to. But if I'm honest, I get in my my feels when I want you. Say you feel it too, I'll haunt you. Hold on till I'm lost in the nirvana. But if I'm honest, I get in my feels when I want you. Say you feel it too, I'll haunt you. Hold on till I'm lost in the nirvana. But if I'm
Welcome back from the break. We've got more nationals to be played. This time, it's going to be Actually, I get the letters mixed up because I'm dumb and can't read. UNH Chargers, not UHN, of course, taking on UGA Black. This time, going to be up in, I believe, Division 2, so a little bit higher there up the ladder. Going to change the map pool just a little bit, but we just got a very, very crazy 5-map series. So, now that it's playoff season, who knows who's going to come out on top? Yeah. Yeah, this is what I like to call a ball don't lie series. Today, we're going to find out who actually plays good when it matters, right? The game a couple weeks ago or last week, obviously a very dramatic finish. We hardly ever see in any game when a map just gets nuked into the ether and then it comes back and the game flips on its head, but definitely revenge in the air. And like you said, for the other side, just listen, that was not an accident. That was not a fluke. You guys can claim it was luck all you want. We know what we're capable of over here, but now it's nationals, it's playoffs. It was a very funny clip. If anyone can find it, I watched it earlier. It was just everyone getting ready to run out, and then Kiriko sinks into the floor, and then the map just boomed like that. And yeah, then UNH just has to go, guess we have to try again. Li Zhang. Yeah, a little more stock standard, not necessarily. And right, we do love the funky comms, but there's definitely a time and place to pick certain things, especially now that it's playoffs. You really don't have time. National season, you cannot be messing around with any ideas. Instead, we're getting double hazard, double Farah immediately with an early hover on the sim to probably get them some early mobility. It is going to be Kiri Lucy backlines for both, and yeah, I'm honestly excited to see, especially after the clip in the ending last week, a couple weeks ago. This is the type of nationals rematch that you dream of, especially as a broadcaster, as a player. I'm sure they want to win this a little extra than they would some of these other playoff series. This is when it all matters. You want to show who is the better team on the day, and we can kick things off on Li Zhang, and we are going to get a late swap there from Jace, picking up the Tracer. Yeah, it always depends on what the other flavors of the teams are, but so far, we are going to see it. Waiting for the first kill to go through. Penguin, the first one getting taken down low from the side of UGA. They will eventually take enough space to get the early capture. Night and Dine, seeing if they can find a pick from these backline lasers. But nothing going so far as ultimates slowly but surely chip it away, and that's how you one-shot the Tracer. Jace, no idea there's a Pharah in the back line, takes full advantage, and now UGA getting blasted by Pharah. Yeah, I do like that they are essentially playing the same comp, so now we can really just say it's a skill diff. Whoever ends up winning this map, barring any other switches, we're going to see exactly what style or what execution the styles are going to be relatively the same. We are going to see, I believe, might have lost Ray, might be muted or something, so we'll get that fixed up in a second here. But New Haven still trying to fight along here as they still control the point. Rocket Barrage over the top from Knight, able to shut down Penguin. And now a kill streak getting set up, and Knight is completely taking over this map 1. The Pharah has been making their presence felt, and oh my goodness, they're not done yet. The wrist rocket to boop them back, and maybe a long-range missile to finish things off. Goodness gracious, New Haven. I can tell Knight's a little bit angry about the other week.
Yeah, that was my bad. Everything, I had to refresh everything to make sure it wasn't muted properly. Anyway, again, this has been the Knight show so far. Like, he's basically saying night, trying to make this a quick and easy Legion tower. Let's see what they can do with this downpour.
And the sound barrier of Pulse Bomb goes through, not going to find any targets, and that means UGA, after the Kitsune, they don't use the sound barrier of their own, and oh my goodness, they are getting destroyed. It's another team kill, might have been everybody getting a kill in the feed as well. That is even pain distribution from the New Haven side, and UGA, sound barrier, rocket barrage, and that might, I mean, that will be your last chance to win a fight. They're already at 80% and ticking.
Yeah, I mean, again, they have some key ultimates, but I mean, really for the side of New Haven, they also only have a downpour and an overclock, so the B can actually mitigate both of those ultimates, so you have to be careful about how you space out these ultimates if you're in New Haven.
They did go for the early downpour. I'm not sure exactly how many, if they caught anybody. The rocket barrage is going to be sent in on top of the sound barrier. UGA able to draw first, second, and third blood. The Hazard will find one back in exchange, but it looks like UGA will be extending Lijiang just a little bit.
Yeah, now New Haven can look to re-engage. Knight built up that rocket barrage in the middle of that fight. We saw what happened with the first one, so can't imagine the same will happen for the second. So if you are University of Georgia, you have to have an answer for what you're going to do about the sound barrier. You have no ultimate, so it's all going to be about positioning.
Yeah, unless Jace can farm up this pulse bomb and find a cheeky little angle, they're going to be essentially having to duke it out with nothing else. The rocket barrage trying to shut down the Hazard. About half the ulti going wide. The Hazard does get taken down low, but the supports are doing too much work. So Penguin will live. And New Haven still trying to give chase. The Pharah is dumping a lot of damage. That disengage, the wrist rocket, okay, both Pharahs do the same thing to the Hazard, and the Knight falls off the map.
That's actually really, really bad for the side of New Haven. Now they use Kitsune Rush. They would shoot. This is disastrous.
No,
University of Georgia have now just put themselves in the power position. New Haven threw so many ults away. I mean, maybe you build to a downpour, but that's it. George is going to have a Kitsune. They're going to have both their DPS ultimates. Maybe they get a downpour.
Oh, knowing the Hazard, they will more than likely be able to get that online. The rocket barrage is officially ready to go, and using that from a defensive position when you can hold the doorway and hold the choke point has got to be a lot easier. Kitsune and Pulse Bomb. The Pulse Bomb doesn't land. That's a big cooldown from UGA. They're going to pop the Kitsune, but Penguin able to shut down Dine Knight, and UGA, oh, we're going to hold on and see if Warrior can hold on a little longer. It looks like the answer is going to be no. And with only Jolly and Clover, the last two standing, UGA with the comeback in round one, assuming they can get this kill, which looks like it's coming.
And that is going to be sub-point for University of Georgia. And literally, that came down to, despite them not taking full advantage of those ults, is New Haven having none to re-engage with in that final touch fight. So I feel like if you would have just calmed down, maybe saved that Kitsu, maybe you have a chance to possibly win that. But extremely back and forth between both of these teams. And we can see here, I mean, from the side of UGA, I mean, the numbers are favoring New Haven here.
Yeah.
And they were able to
Heavily.
win that map because of some poorly thrown fights from the side of New Haven. So, but Georgia's taking advantage of these situations that New Haven puts them in.
It is the rare time where if we just showed you the scoreboard and didn't show people the context, they'd be like, oh, New Haven's about to win 2-0. They're probably halfway to capturing point 2. No. They had a fiery start, and then they got extinguished for like 4 straight minutes, it felt like. Some good early work out of Warrior, who, again, the numbers looked incredible. Like, seeing the numbers, like, kind of drove in. Like, New Haven really was cooking for a while, and then, man, fell off of a cliff at the end. Quite literally fell off of a cliff. Knight falling off the map, unironically, may have been the final nail in the coffin there, the crux of the issue. Langston able to find the boop kill onto Dine as well, so UGA getting active nice and early, and they're going to find the first capture.
Yeah, man, Dine. Going over to the Genji this time around, so no hit scan, which they were playing the Sojourn previously, because we're going to get a Pharah area duel, which when you got the high ground to lob those directs, Knight is just going to be able to get that over Illusion. By the way, love the spelling for a gamer tag.
Yes, that's phenomenal. Love to see that from UGA. As Penguin shutting down the Kiri, they love seeing that as well. And yeah, I mean, the Knight has to be just angry, A, because of what happened in the first series, and B, you were literally just 1v9 for so long, you made one little oopsie in the game, immediately folded like a house of cards. So looking to find some revenge. They did get shut down momentarily ago, and UGA up 1-0, already going to be sitting at about 50%. They have the ult advantage. They're liking where they're at right now. Oh,
and
they're
they get
loving
the
that.
stick onto Monoclover.
That was textbook from the Tracer. Now the Genji. The deflect is down. I don't know if they're going to be able to live. Oh, definitely not. I'm going to be honest. I think UGA might win this 100-0.
It is definitely possible they're going to have a downpour now for this next fight. New Haven still struggling to build any semblance of any kind of ultimate. And this is the map where, arrows are still good, but it's definitely going to be limited when you don't have a bunch of open space to angle and, just free fire for free.
Yeah, and where the Pharah has to enter, I mean, there's just, right, we saw the Pharah aerial duel, but besides that side of the map, if you walk in these small hallways, you are just going to get punished, especially by something like a Hazard that can get on top of you in these close quarters. Alpha Omega Kitsune rush, but Big Warrior finds the headshot. And New Haven, finally the opening start to the fight, but the sound barrier going to connect onto all 3 of the other players, and they're able to run down Clover on the backline. Night low as well. UGA, a clutch sound barrier, probably just won them the map.
Yeah, it does. Jace pounding on the Tracer. Langston gonna get taken down, but with the Kitsune rush, can they sustain long enough to win this fight? It looks like they might be able to.
And they might get a sound barrier if the fight looks a little worse. Luckily, they won't need to use it this go around, which would have been a little bit sketchy for them. As Knight and crew looking to make their claim and extend the map a little bit longer. The Pharah, this is where she wants to be, is up in the middle of the room, able to take the space and shoot at these doorways. Entering is so much harder. And now New Haven, we've definitely seen, we've seen billions of teams get held in this spawn, but UGA having 99%, you just need one fight.
Yeah, they're in a good spot. They got both their DPS ultimates and a sound barrier. So Illusion really got to open some things up here, or Jace just trying to find a cheeky pick on the Tracer, who's almost got a pulse bomb as well, so maybe they can open things up as well.
We saw a beautiful stick onto the Lucio earlier. If they can find another target, forget the pulse bomb. I'm throwing the hands with the Genji. And then the pulse bomb goes up, won't connect, but luckily you took down the Dragon Blade. Now a Desperation Rocket Barrage, but that thing got 0 hit markers from Illusion. Knight sends theirs out as well, and they're able to take all the kills. And oh my goodness, New Haven. Every single fight, it seems like it's New Haven gets 3, Penguin gets 1, and that's all they find.
I am not a fan of that barrage from the side of Illusion. I mean, they do swap over to Cast now, but man, they just sound buried. You didn't even give it time to run out. Like, they looked to barrage after that. I mean, you got to give it at least a little bit more time.
Illusion and Knight might have some unwritten contract where they are literally playing in mirror mode. You alt aisle, you go to the outside of the map and shoot. I'm doing the same thing. We are going to follow each other like a shadow across the map. We are going to see the downpour sent in by Warrior, and now the Dragon Blade from Dine, and the fight is already over. UGA loses 2 instantly. Penguin uses the downpour late as well, but there's no teammates here to follow it up, so I don't know what exactly the plan was.
Yeah, Georgia just made the mistake that New Haven made on the previous map where they used the ult late in a fight that they probably should not have. Still got some time as the Tracer's forced to recall. Can Jace get out, or are they going to hunt him down?
They're definitely trying. Altis almost online for the supports of UGA. You desperately need that sound barrier. Langston has got to position correctly. They've got to play smart. It's still one team fight for the map 1 win. The Kitsune rush. Jolly sending the ulti in first. Alpha gets theirs online, and Langston should be able to get the sound barrier. There is going to be potentially a rocket barrage unless Knight gets picked off. Now UGA, the ones in pole position, they are sound barrier to the 9s. They're able to find the first pick. A massive cleanse, keeping him alive for the moment, but Langston and Illusion will find the last few kills, and UGA 2-0 Lijiang, despite the fist fight at the end.
That was a great job from Georgia showing patience, Jobin. Kitsune Rush got thrown on point. They knew the overtime bar was still moving slow, so they could wait it out a little bit, use their hazard slash tracer to touch. They did that ever so carefully, and then re-engaged with their own, and then they were able to pick light off from the off angle. So just a true showcase of what patience can do in Overwatch.
Yeah, just not panicking, and credit to Langston. We see a lot of Lucios where they're at 90% to the ult. They feel like they have to do more than they should. It's like, no, you just need to live and heal somebody for 5 seconds. You get the sound barrier. This fight is GG. They do not have an answer for it. Once we see New Haven burn that Kitsune, Georgia goes, like you said, they're like, perfect. Now we have the angle we wanted. Double support ultis with no hard counter. You instantly find the kill on Knight, who realistically, if they took Knight out early in half of those fights, Georgia may have won this map 5 minutes ago.
Now everything shifts to the side of New Haven. They're going to be able to pick a map. They're going to be able to have first ban. So again, we talked about it previously that these teams had a back and forth 5-map Giga Banger series previously. So do not count New Haven out. And I mean, again, both those points were 99-99. So just a few cleanup things here or there from the side of New Haven, and that map goes in their favor.
And we are going to have, Jolly from the side of New Haven. They're going to be taking us over to Rialto, and they're going to be banning the Ashe away. So again, makes a lot of sense. If you're going to pick into Rialto, Ashe is one of the premier picks for it with the long-range sniper rifle. So we're going to see if they can at least cook up some comp board. Of course, Rialto can be, there is like the famous corner of death, basically, where so many teams' dreams go to die. But you said it too, map 5 banger last series, UNH, by hook or by crook, they end up losing. UGA, though, now they win a map 1 2-0, and I know they've got to be feeling good. They're like, yes, we know we're better. We've got the lead now. Let's clean this up and not have to go the full 5.
We'll say the Emery pick is now going to be available unless Georgia decides to ban it. So they put themselves in a spot where it's like, yeah, Ashe is gone, but this is just as good as an Emery map. So I kind of expect both these teams just to play that, especially with how good the override protocol is. I think the question is, what tanks do we look to see? I mean, we saw hazards, and I definitely think you could play the hazard on the Rialto, but this definitely Rialto. Classically, I just think Diva.
I'm so surprised we haven't, not that necessarily always see a Diva on Lijiang, but we've seen 5-6 maps now, not a single Diva, not even a hover in any of the games. There hasn't even been a thought behind those eyes about playing the robot, so maybe we do finally see the Diva. Maybe somebody just prefers to play something like the Winston that definitely can be a little tricky in some of the areas, but it certainly is going to open up for a lot more dive potential just the way the map is designed. And I mean, St. Lawrence, I'm sure they've got to be angry, or St. Lawrence, like I think in the last series, New Haven, right? You lost that lap 5 series. Now it's nationals. You're maybe talking all that smack to UGA saying, nope, that was a fluke. This doesn't count. Ball won't lie next weekend. Now it's 1-0. And like you said, banning the Ashe is fine. I still just think, I mean, to my eyes, maybe it's just the ultimate that glosses over. I think Emery is maybe just the strongest DPS in the game, generally, as long as you can aim.
Yeah, no, I agree. Georgia is going to ban Sigma, so that is another one of those tanks that would be expected on Rialto, the more of the poke heavy side, if you're going to go that direction. So to me, I mean, Hazard, Diva, those are the two tanks I'd expect, but I mean, this is just classically a Diva map, so this is kind of my predictions, but I mean, both teams did roll out on the Hazard and Lijiang Towers, so wouldn't surprise me if they do that once again.
Yeah, seeing the map 1 hazard, because we don't always see it, and sometimes it's the 4th tank down the line, and you're like, okay, maybe the hazard angle is finally upon us, but we will see if that is stuck. Could always even see something like the Zarya, if they don't really want to play the Diva or they're not good at it, or maybe they don't want to run back the Hazard, you can always just kind of lock the Zarya, send out the bubbles, and try to facilitate one of your teammates, maybe if they do play something like a Genji, which we saw, or maybe they pick up a Vendetta, something in that ballpark. But we saw Knight doing a lot of work over there on the Pharah for New Haven, of course. New Haven maybe just a cursed franchise as well, because we saw the disconnect, and then Knight just ends up falling into the abyss, which arguably cost them the map in the biggest team fight in the moment. So lots of stuff to fight for. It is indeed going to be the Hazard duel, and Illusion saying, you go ahead and ban that Ashe. I've got something for you, and it was designed in 2026.
Exactly. This is kind of what I've expected. I mean, seeing the Soldier, I mean,
Me too.
I don't know. I'm not that big on it. I'd expect they're going to be swapping to Emery here, and they're just.
I mean, yeah, I'd say
teasing it.
Emery exists, like, so I don't really agree either. There's just a better normal assault rifle user.
I aim to devastate.
Yeah, we don't. I mean, take a couple shots makes sense too. Probably go over to the Emery. But yeah, Hazard duels once again. I mean, should have suspected it given we saw it on Li Jiang, Rialto. It's always on the table, so no surprises.
Yep, and Jolly Clover, and same with Langston Alpha. I assume we're going to see the Kiri Lucio backline for 90% of the series like we usually do, unless maybe the Kiriko gets banned at some point if we don't want to deal with it. Well, Knight, we fish for it, and honestly, after the Pharah performance, I certainly respect you going for it, but it is Emery time. Lock it in. We're going to lock in the 1A DPS in Overwatch, and we're going to see if they can try to answer back in a big way. The thing is, with that swap, Illusion does get about a 20% ult advantage, which, given the fact that you are playing Emery, UGA could look to expend that earlier if they get an angle.
I mean, it's all just going
Not
to
much.
be depending on how these team fights go and how much damage these characters are able to throw down. But yeah, I mean, this is the corner most teams are going to be playing on because you can contest the cart from the high ground. We're seeing a nice, interesting rotation coming in from New Haven.
Yeah, so far, we do have Dying on the Genji yet again, so see if they can find some value. Of course, Genji has played all the time on Rialto, and a Dragon Blade is a Dragon Blade. If you catch somebody asleep and get a reset, that can usually summon the end of the fight, as Penguin going toe-to-toe with the opposing Hazard here into Warrior, and Warrior the one that's taken the licks here, Dying also low on HP, and it is going to be the New Haven tank dying first, so the push will be stalled out, and then Penguin, now that the other tank is down, it is my time to shine, able to dive on the first one. Dying, Knight, and Clover all meet their maker, and New Haven getting stopped.
Yeah, these defensive positions, especially playing the Hazard, it's just so hard to break through. So relies pretty heavily on Knight or Dying to just go make a play and find a pick quickly and just allow that to snowball like that.
Oh, yeah, that is exactly how you open things up. You take the Hazard to the high ground, you shut down one of the members, and right before the override protocol comes online, but then a big pulse bomb answers back. Warrior and Penguin still going toe-to-toe on the front line, and I give Penguin a lot of credit. They are hanging in there, but Big Warrior, they're worried about the back line. They're able to take down a few of the squishies, and New Haven right now finally getting the fight they want.
Yeah, it was a good stagger on a Penguin as well, but they should be able to get at least one more touch as both teams got quite a lot of ultimates coming online. I'm New Haven. As we turn around this corner, I think they're going to pop the 2A.
Oh, I was going to say, Illusion's probably looking for the override angle on the bridge. It's a bit awkward. They're going to get trapped down. And then the opposing override protocol from Knight, but Penguin's able to find two to exchange it. UGA still somehow in the fight. The Kitsune will expire. There are no supports left on the blue side, so it will be a New Haven time bonus.
That downpour from Big Warrior,
Yes.
huge shout outs. It completely shut down that override protocol and just gave all of the free space to Knight to use his. So very well played. I love seeing the aggression coming out from New Haven. And now they got, a lot of time. New lease on life on the second point.
And honestly, I'd like seeing something like the Hazard into the Emery. I think you just need to play a tank that can just roll their sleeves up and just go punish this pick, because otherwise the Emery will simply sit, throw a couple shoulders, and burst people until the override protocol's online. The grenade, of course, is extremely effective, especially in close range to disengage, so I do love the Hazard pick. Both players have been playing pretty well on it so far, so gives me a lot of confidence moving forward as New Haven just crossing the midway point of the map and able to find another kill. The Hazard again. Warrior getting their hands dirty the whole time through, and if they can get around this corner and get a few more kills, they're going to be in great shape.
Still plenty to work with if you're New Haven. This blade, I'd be trying to use this blade, force out this beat, and then you can like aggressively beat engage yourself, or you know, go with your down 4.
Or we can let Knight get pulse bombed by Jace after the respawn comes through, so maybe not the opener they were looking for. Again, though, still all these cooldowns ready to go, but Dyne able to slip the net. Now it's going to be Sound Barrier. No Dragon Blade yet because New Haven looks good. Alpha Omega ends up off the map. They may have either gotten booped or possibly tried to DP to somebody that was midair, but either way, the Kiriko not here for the team fight. Penguin able to somehow find one back, and I'm honestly surprised UGA held on as long as they did, but it looks like New Haven finally broke through.
They don't have their tank, so you could have the ability to do like a staggered touch here if you're George. I mean, the Hazard and the Tracer are just now responding, so you're good candidates for touching. Yeah, I think that just makes sense to take the full 5 on this next point. 3.5 minutes for New Haven as looking really good. As Big Warrior now going to get off the Hazard and go over to the ramp for this 3rd point, which I get it. It's less open space.
Yeah.
We're about to get confined a lot more once you get to the inside portion.
Yeah, just needs a shield to not get obliterated, but the Genji has been providing maximum value, and oh my goodness, New Haven, they said it is go time, and UGA, there was no response on planet Earth that could have stopped that onslaught. It looks like Illusion actually did pop the protocol at some point, but they got immediately murdered, so New Haven getting at least one cooldown from UGA. Illusion will be hopping back to the Sojourn. And we're going to see New Haven, I mean, a few more kills, and they've got themselves a very nice start to Rialto.
Yeah, that fight is disastrous. As now the continuing rush is going to come out as they look to snowball even more with the blade.
Oh, Dyne could possibly find everything. We did see the downpour sent in, and UGA somehow finding the answer on the backside of Penguin's ult, despite the Dragon Blade finding the first kill of the fight. They catch the Genji off guard, and UGA doing just enough at the end of the road there, and New Haven will be forced to try again.
Wow, huge shout outs to University of Georgia. I thought that was over, but they're able to, force positioning away with that downpour, and then their continuing rush is able to find tons of value. New Haven, however, they're going to be coming in. They have coming up on an Annihilation, but you're going to have beat for that. Jace just going to be on this off angle looking for a pulse bomb, not going to connect.
Yeah, a little aggressive. I will say, to Jace's credit, they've actually landed 4 or 5 pulse bombs through a map and a half, so I certainly like the idea of getting active there. Unfortunately, goes wide the way of the road sometimes. Big Warrior close to the Annihilation. Sound Barrier is ready for New Haven. Same with Langston. And UGA, no other ultimates immediately online. Maybe Illusion can get that overclock popped and ready sooner than later, but only about maybe 15, 20 meters to go right now. Sound Barrier forced early out of New Haven. They've got the Annihilation as well. Langston pops theirs, and Alpha Omega's got nowhere to go, and Big Warrior looking to put the stamp on the offense with the Annihilation. I don't think Penguin's got enough damage in the tank to shut down this absolute warlord. Jace able to find a kill, though, and at least slow them down, but I was going to say, New Haven, surely we've got to put the pace on here.
Yeah, great Ravenous Vortex there to stop the Langston on the Tracer from being able to touch. Just a hair over 1 minute as New Haven trying to tie up the series, got themselves a good win condition. Just don't let Georgia complete the map.
Yeah, and Rialto can be a real pain to complete, especially around the first couple of chokes, and especially at the end with the quick spawns, as is usually the case. But a minute 7 on the clock, certainly, or a minute 2 it looks like. New Haven, that's exactly the answer you wanted after I'm sure what they would say, if not disappointing is maybe putting it lightly, probably a disgusting map 1 in their eyes, given that they had plenty of chances to win. They had a lot of good fights. The numbers completely told another story when after the first round. New Haven looked like they had already won a full map, but not able to make it all the way through. And now we're going to see if the defense can hold up and you can tie up the series and maybe have another back-to-back 5-map series on our hand.
Definitely on the table. New Haven looked really good.
Hi. If we do this right,
Excuse me.
know what happened.
But we're going to see how George is able to respond. I mean, these young tower, we thought for a lot of it, New Haven, man, looking really dominant here, light on the Farah, and then Georgia was able to persevere. So let's see how this Georgia attack goes. We see Illusion on the Sojourn instead of the Emery.
Yeah, maybe. Oh, well, I was going to say probably maybe we'll see a swap, but it is a Sojourn, so still would function well, but it will be the new flavor of the month in the Emery, and see if they can get that burst rifle cooking early on as Jace pounds played a pretty solid Tracer day for themselves. We'll have to back off from the early skirmish there, and a lot of credit to Dyne too. Just, we were talking about Knight, it felt like all the map 1, Dyne maybe went under the radar, and they have been completely unleashed in this map so far. As UGA looking to take space toward the high ground, the Hazards doing what they do with the right clicks. Big Warrior looking a little bit healthier for the moment as UGA maybe trying to get a little flank angle going with Jace, but no picks to be found quite yet. Both teams playing very defensive.
Jace Pound's getting the pick onto Dyne. I mean, this is the kind of the opening, as I mentioned, is just going and hoping that your DPS can make these picks. And for the side of Georgia, they definitely were. Jace just going crazy on this Tracer. They weren't able to stagger out Big Warrior, so definitely for sure going to get another touch.
Yeah, Big Warrior just has to be careful that they don't decide to immediately full send it on the Hazard and somehow find a late stagger. The Lucio, though, I don't know if that's the 1v1 we're looking to take. Luckily for Warrior, the rest of the team has now respawned, but the time bonus was given over because the Hazard, again, would have been pretty int to run in there and maybe throw your whole team under the bus and force a 5v4. So 5 minutes on the clock after the first bonus. I do believe that means Georgia is ahead of New Haven's pace. So a rocket fast start for them as he's going to get forced out to cleanse onto Penguin, but then UGA override protocol already for Illusion. Trying to cook up from the side of the canal here, not able to find any hit markers quite yet, getting targeted out very tough by Knight. And the override protocol comes up completely empty.
Yeah, but just being able to get that first cap in general for UGA, I mean, despite them, you know, obviously not looking so good in this fight. I mean, the fact that they cap first point with, I mean, I say that, they're now turning this fight around, and they're sending New Haven back to the spawn room and resetting. Wow.
How is that even? There's been like 5 fights today where I can't even begin to fathom how the fight flips the way it does, but I guess that's the way of the road, maybe the way people are positioning, not necessarily getting back to supports or trying to take solo chows and maybe losing, but Georgia will happily live with the result of that fight. As we said, it did suck to burn the override protocol, but given the fact that you still won the fight, I'm sure it's not the end of the world as Knight deciding it is their turn to use the downpour from both tanks, and it's Jace again finding the shutdown. This Tracer is a menace, but the override protocol with the combo from Warrior looked like they may be enough for New Haven to stay in the fight. The hand cannon going crazy, but Penguin still in the fight, and look who's lurking in the shadows.
Yeah, that is, well, all things considered, a pretty good fight from the side of Georgia. I mean, getting the override protocol out and that downpour. Illusion, who's now on the cast, probably to try and help deal with the Genji and possibly just have that stun available for Big Warrior. But Jace's been really good with their pulse bombs. They have another one, and they don't get it on that one.
We did see Langston invest a sound barrier last fight as well, so Georgia will have a very large disadvantage, at least in that department. I mean, yeah, Dragon Blade sound barrier sounds pretty good to me. I'm sure New Haven's got a similar vein of thought. Kitsune rush from Jolly the first thing in. They try to flashbang the Genji at a midair. The cleanse gets burned early, which means it might be time for the Blade to thrive, but the Genji getting knocked away silly, luckily able to find the reset, and I believe New Haven has got what they want.
Oh yeah, that and much, much more. They're just getting the late stagger on the Penguin as well. 2 ultimates for the exchange of 1. You still have your sound barrier. You're going to have your downpour. New Haven is chilling. So it's like Georgia now finds themselves in a position again where it's similar to first point, where they kind of got to hope that they find a quick early pick to start snowballing that advantage in their favor, because it's hard to break through these defensive positions.
Yeah, New Haven, of course, finished the whole map, minute 2 on the clock, so the pressure will continuously mount on the Georgia side. As those health bars from New Haven, they were blinking. Yeah, they're going to force the sound barrier. I was about to say 3 players got shredded. So the sound barrier does get burned out. Georgia's going to be loving that audio and visual cue. And that means, Jace, it might be time to go hunting. The downpour's going to connect onto everybody that it needs to. All the squishies locked up. And the Tracer continuing to run the game.
Oh, no recall available as Dyne's going to get the pick onto Jace. Picks are in favor of UGA. Are you going to look to touch? No, they are not. So, second point now capped for UGA. They got 2 minutes if they want to keep up time bank, but really, escort doesn't matter that heavily. They just got to make sure they get this delivered.
And just like we saw on the other side of things, Warrior off the Hazard onto a more defensive choice in the Ramatra. Can't fault that whatsoever. The Annihilation is so good at suffocating that space they're trying to take. UGA, support ultimate's about ready. Jace with the pulse bomb, that is always a player to watch, especially how good they've been. Of course, missed the last few, but not going to bat 1,000 with those. It's very, very tough. Override protocol ready to go. Knight's going to summon it. Jolly finds first blood onto the Tracer. Finally, they are able to punish Jason. The override protocol doing a very good job of zoning and potentially killing off the rest of UGA. They're able to retreat back to the docks, and they're going to have to step back and go for round 2.
Still got plenty of time if you're the side of Georgia, and they've built up their ultimates. However, here we go.
Oh, Jace. Thought maybe they would have cooked something up there. It is going to be a 1-for-1. The tank's getting active. The sound barrier out of UGA. That's a massive advantage for the fight after Jolly's Kitsune expires. But it's Dyed and Warrior, the two-headed machine that have been just keeping New Haven in so many fights. The Annihilation to sustain that Drain tank. Able to back off the rest of UGA. So sound barrier, Kitsune, and Illusion now swapping again. And UGA, as long as they win, they will at least get overtime. But they are running out of chances.
Yeah, I mean, Downpour is the only thing you're looking at. Dying can just slash through with this over. I mean, we did see what happened last time with the Downpour, though. It was massive. So let's give Penguin an opportunity.
I think he's looking forward as well, just seeing if they can line it up. They're going to summon the Downpour. I believe they caught on to maybe 1 or 2 players, but it doesn't look like much was done. But the Railgun from the backline, Illusion, finally getting a kill that they've been dying for. Penguin shutting down Warrior. The Dragon Blade just going to be held in the back pocket. Same with the sound barrier. They're going to use that for what will more than likely be the final fight. Maybe a second effort at a UGA if it's a quick one, but a team kill in their time of need. Jace with the pulse bomb, that's all they've got. They've got to see if they can make it count.
Yeah, but New Haven, Blade, Beat.
Yeah.
They should be able to re-engage here with some great tools.
Yeah, sound barrier on the entry. Not going to connect onto Dyne, but they've still got the Dragon Blade as the payload will be stopped for the moment. And I know Dyne is just waiting for that perfect moment to summon the sword and see if they can cut down UGA where they stand. Maybe looking for the angle here over the top with the Dragon Blade. They're going to try to catch onto the Soldier and Illusion. No chance of escape. The Lucio now getting swept up as well. But Alpha Omega on the opposite side of the fight kills 2. Pops the cleanse to keep the tank alive. I cannot believe UGA made this fight as close as it is. Big Warrior, maybe the last bastion of hope for New Haven, and they are doing more than enough work to win it.
Yeah, 10 seconds with the hazard going down there. I mean, yeah, you get the touch from the Lucian Ling. Oh, I don't like that. They did not need to go that quick. That's unfortunate.
Yep.
New Haven punishing some bad plays from University of Georgia and ties up the series 1-1.
A bloody affair between both sides, but it was New Haven able to ice up on the offense. Penguin, yeah, they played an outstanding game. So many fights where I'm like, the fight has to be over, it has to be cooked. And of course, actually, right at the end here when UGA finally put together that walloping fight, but New Haven, they fought back extremely hard there. That was a big map to get back, and right, taking the context of everything into consideration, going down 2-0 to Georgia in another nail-biting game, I just don't think they would have been able to recover.
I agree. So huge shout outs to New Haven for making this a 1-1 series. And we're going to have to see where we go from here. As again, we mentioned previously, this has been a 5-map Gigabang series rematch. So we are going to take a quick break while we get these teams a chance to formulate their plans on how they want to go forward as map pick goes back in favor of Georgia. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Just dying to figure a way out. I've tried but can't seem to slow down, and I don't know if I want to.
All I seek to find is a way
Sports Trials is presented by the Army National Guard.
Hey, welcome back from the break, everybody. Jobin and Ray, we've got some D2 Nationals Overwatch to continue to be played. We have a 1-1 series between UNH and UGA Black. Obviously, New Haven getting their lick back in map 2, closing out the Rialto, but still a very, very close, hard-fought series. And now we can take a look, at least now that we got some info, we got some data, we can look at some of the keys of the series or uncommon traits for the side of UGA Black. Just a few things that kind of going to be shared between both teams, but keep Jace on that Tracer and keep them fed. They've been finding so many key picks in the successful fights. Make sure you have a clear strategy. We talked about ults maybe not being the best, weird timings, weird pushes, and minimize punishment. The DPS across the board in this lobby are far too lethal. If you step out 5 feet out of line, they're going to find your head and they're going to click it. So UGA, just play safe and stick to your guns.
Reminded that, as you guys can see on the screen, these are brought to you by the Army National Guard. Find your calling at nationalguard.com. As we will now transition to the uncommon traits for New Haven, as it's very similar. Keep Knight going crazy. Whether it's the Pharaoh, whether it's the Emery, they have been the linchpin and the spark plug for your compositions. Keep up the aggression we've been seeing with your ultimates. And we've also seen you guys get punished just as Georgia has by Knight. You guys getting punished by Jay. So watch your positioning.
Yeah, it truly hasn't, right? I know there's so many good DPS in the game, so we often get starstruck by when the DPS start popping off. But this series, I mean, the tank mirror mode matchups for the most part have actually been very, very 50-50. There's been some really good plays out of Penguin. There's been some excellent plays out of Warrior. I'm thinking of the Ramatra Annihilation to help close out the offense for Rialto. So there's been a lot of really good moments and a lot of bright stars in this series, but these DPS have absolutely been, I believe, the crux of the issue. And I think the map was put there, but I think I already forgot it. Phenomenal. I think I forgot it. So we'll have to see what the map and the bans are going to be, but it is ultimately going to be UNH's pick, or Georgia's pick, of course, UNH winning that second map. So we're going to see if they can at least figure out some sort of something. I wouldn't hate them to see, I think we might see relatively similar comps. The map will depend, obviously, but there seems to be a lot of comfort between both teams.
Yeah, couldn't agree with you more. I mean, both teams have had their moments. Lijiang Tower and then coming into Rialto, both very close down to the wire types of maps. As Suravasa is going to be the next map. We see Zarya got banned by New Haven and Genji banned by University of Georgia. So they're trying to put a little bit of a limit on what Dine's going to be able to play. Zarya is an interesting one because you've seen these hazards going at it. This is another map where you could continue to see that. And again, but as we mentioned, these teams played each other just a little while ago. They definitely understand what they're trying to do, and I kind of see why they banned the Zarya. If they're going to play the Mauga, they don't want that bubble cleanse available.
And Big Warrior living up to the name. We saw the Ramatra, and they were excellent on the Ramatra, so I've got every reason to believe the Mauga's going to make it work. Don't see too many Torbjorns out in the wild, but they certainly can find some value. Can obviously do a lot of damage if they go unchecked for a little while, and we're going to have the Symmetras to get us going. Of course, I assume it'll be for the teleport, and then we're going to get a swap back to our original picks. And yeah, Jace on the Tracer, I love it. And Dine, incredible game that forced the other rare Sojourn should be able to fill the role very nicely, but ultimately, execution is the name of the game. The support backlines, like I said, will probably remain unchanged the whole series.
Yeah, I did not expect the big Torbjorn on this map and on my video card, but Dine going down to Illusion already opens up the door for a quick and early point cap for Georgia. Question is, yeah, we are going to see an engage coming in from the side of New Haven, but they've lost their Kiri now.
Yeah, Illusion's got 2 kills already, so the opposite Sojourn, maybe the one DPS we didn't mention in the pregame that had obviously had some very good moments on the far and otherwise, and now they're just taking over the game on the Sojourn. That is what I love to see. Stepping out of the shadow there of Dine's just right. When you're playing Genji, it's hard to ignore it because you're using the Dragon Blade between the entire team, but Illusion right now, 62% to the overclock. Georgia's going to be at about 40% before the contest. That's a great start.
New Haven, they never really got a chance to engage on this Malga comp, however, so let's give them an opportunity here. Now they're able to push through, but that's a lot of damage already on a big warrior. They have to be careful. You can't, when you're trying to look for these engages, you can't take a lot of damage on the walk up.
And they will be engaging into an overclock more than likely, so... Oh, the point! I can't even see the space on the A point, but UGA steps back in just in time, and honestly, that's a big read by UGA, because if they can find a kill with the overclock now, or at least win the fight in some semblance, they're going to be able to win P1 fairly easily. There's Illusion! The Sojourn just walks through the front door, and no one's paying attention. The Malga way overextends, especially with the Kiriko down already, and UGA, it's about to be 1-0 in the flashpoint.
And because of how long that second fight took, it only took 2 fights to be able to get that flashpoint. There again, Georgia's showing some nice patience. We saw them do that on Lijiang Tower, so they're showcasing it a little bit again. Now they look to re-engage. They'll have a Kitsune Rush. They have the ability to throw in their Downpour. New Haven really only has their Kitsune Rush right now, with a couple of ultimates coming online very shortly.
You said it perfectly. When they're flooding the front door like that and Illusion is simply just farming damage, you get the early overclock. That's the only ultimate that comes online, and it's a pretty damn big one. They're able to find a kill and seal the deal. Exactly what you're looking for UGA, and exactly what we kind of nailed in the key of the game. If you don't get punished by the DPS, you're probably going to have a good time, and New Haven right now unable to skirt the Sojourn's power as the Kitsune Rush sent in by both squads. Dying able to answer back, but there's the Jace Pulse Bomb we've been talking about, shutting down the opposing Sojourn. And even though UGA is down an extra player, they were at least able to steal the first capture and waste about 20 seconds.
Yeah, any percentage you can steal in a losing fight's always going to be gravy. And New Haven, again, only having to use the Kitsune Rush there. They now have 4 ults to be able to re-engage with. They're in a very strong position. As long as they rotate their ults properly, they should get the second point with relative ease.
Yeah, it's all about if Illusion and Jace can catch somebody out. It looks like Illusion was getting punished there a little bit, able to survive. The Downpour gets sent in, and Jolly's going to be the first one to fall. Oh, UGA, let him know one time. 3 kills in the same frame. All except for Clover falling. There's the full team kill in New Haven. They did hold on to every ultimate, which respect, because the fight looked a little bit chalked after the Downpour, but UGA, they'll take this percentage.
And that's the difference. UGA went and got aggressive with their Downpour. New Haven kind of just sat trying to look for the perfect opportunity, didn't really get aggressive. That was one thing I talked about in the 3 traits, was they need to continue their ultimate aggression.
Oh, double sound barrier overclock, and New Haven strikes first on the back of Dyne. Illusion pops the overclock on low HP to try to salvage the fight, and oh my goodness, it's looking good so far. Knight went and took so much space toward the backline for New Haven. But again, UGA in a losing fight, they're getting more percent. They're still in control of the point. New Haven won the fight 30 seconds ago.
Yeah, as we see Penguin now making a change to go over to the Sigma, which I kind of do like the Sigma matchup into the Malga. You have your kinetic grasp whenever you get the haha ability out of Malga, and then cardiac overdrive, and then you have a rock that can disrupt Malga as well.
Yeah, Hyperbitic Flux on some of these Surabasa points. Oh, Core and Cage sounds like a pretty good combo to me. Knight agrees with Warrior locking everybody else down. The tank is very low, and UGA Black actually finds the answer. Penguin survived in the onslaught, and Illusion was able to capitalize. New Haven still in control of the point. UGA fighting desperately to take it over. Another pulse bomb out of Jace. Langston and Dyne are going to exchange blows, but UGA, I think they just took the point. I think that's going to be 2-0.
I mean, it looks like Lucia's going to go in. Oh, no, they aren't. Okay, wow. 2-0, University of Georgia making timely swap over to Sigma. And the fact that Sigma did not die in that Cage Molten Core is criminal.
Crazy.
That is ridiculous. And then they get the exiting pick under the tank. Once the Malga went down, it was the go sign, and they're able to clean up and did a great job. Because now we're going to get both Kitsune Rushes going up against each other in this next fight. So far, Georgia's been the aggressive one. I wouldn't be surprised if we see that again.
And again, they need to kill this Tracer, even when Jace, God forbid you miss 3 pulse bombs on map 2. They've hit every single one, I think, this map so far, and always at the worst time for New Haven. Everything looks like it's going okay. They have a winning fight. Beat. Jace finds a kill. Kitsune rush, and there's Illusion. Warrior tries to run in head first, but all they do is get immediately shut down by the backline. And now Jace has so much space to go create, but it doesn't matter because this is Illusion's world, and New Haven is simply renting space.
And again, it was an even ult exchange. That's kind of how you like to play these games. We do see the swap off of the Mauga over to the Ramatra, which the Ramatra is definitely going to match up much better into the Sigma, especially since you have the speed available. Because Sigma thrives in space, and you can just take that away with the Ram Lucio.
Yeah, I do worry with how Illusion's been shooting. I think any primarily melee pick, regardless of the role, is going to have a tough time into the Sojourn as a railgun shot connects, but there's the other Sojourn. Dyne need them to start punishing the opposite Sojourn. The Gravitic Flux does get activated. They do catch the Kiriko. I didn't know if Penguin was going to catch it. They force a sound barrier. The Warrior gets instantly CC'd, so the tank's out of commission. And we are going to see New Haven trying to hang in there, but of course it's an ultimate trait from the DPS, Pulse Bomb Overclock. UGA in the 4v4, no Lucio. The tanks are swinging on each other, but Illusion, late overclock pop at the fight, and that's going to seal it for UGA.
I will say the fact that you stole 21% there saves the map for the side of New Haven. They will get one more opportunity to try and touch here. They will get Molten Core. If the fight goes on long enough, they will get Annihilation. Georgia has nothing. That's why they're getting aggressive, trying to stop any touches.
Yeah, steal some free percentage, slow down that New Haven push, and at least make it the most staggered, crazy-eyed push of all time, as it is about to be 99 on the clock, which means New Haven has got to stay here, and they've got to try to fight it out. Both are summoned, but Knight immediately gets shut down by the Kiriko. Penguin is going to be taken down low, but of course it's Illusion. The railgun is perfect this map of Suravasa, and UGA with no Kiriko in the fight. Knight just coming off of respawn. Oh, the Annihilation gets online. They've given themselves a chance, but a Kitsune and a melee kill onto Clover. Oh, another kill from Jace as well. Oh, the Annihilation. I thought it would maybe be able to turn the tide, but UGA, a dominant flashpoint win. That aggression. I mean, you made a perfect note of it. You said if you play aggressive, you're going to have a good time, and UGA, they took that to heart.
Couldn't agree with you more. That was, I mean, both of these first two maps, you know, relatively close. This is the first kind of almost blowout we have seen in this series. At University of Georgia, I mean, they get on the Hazard and then Sigma to go up against the Mauga/Ram, and it works to perfection. And, you know, I think Jay still had a really good map, but the standout was Illusion on that Sojourn. Absolutely took him to task.
And what a nice place to be as the other 3 teammates when the player that hit 7 pulse bombs arguably wasn't the player of the game. That's how elite both of them were. And when you're on the side of New Haven, you just got to be gritting your teeth and shaking your head every time you see Jace's name in the feed. Right when you're getting ready to charge in, it's either a railgun. We saw Warrior too, 3 or 4 times trying to go in for a charge, just dismantled by Illusion on that backline. And the DPS again, certainly making their presence felt in this series. And now for New Haven, all the drama from the last series, and now you're the ones down 2-1 with no momentum whatsoever.
Yeah, but I mean, map pick bans go to their favor. I mean, they took us to Rialto, so do they take us to more of a hybrid map where they can thrive in space a little bit more? Maybe they want to go back to the Hazard v Hazard, because the Mauga and the Sig definitely, the Mauga definitely, you know, didn't get as much value as they were hoping there.
Yeah, the one big play that we thought was maybe going to turn the tide, you got Cage Molten Core, and the Sigma just somehow lives on 50 HP for 9 or 10 seconds, and then the other player escapes, then you both end up dying in the small room, and a play that looked like it was going to be good, it was a nice proactive play, blows right up in your face. UJ happy to pick up the scraps, and yeah, now you have to even wonder, like, obviously the map is going to dictate a lot, but where does New Haven even try to go with the bans? Do you throw a ban Jace's way because the Tracer has been just consistently impactful? We obviously saw the Sojourn popping off. There's still so many DPS in the pool that is the Tracer ban worth it? But when you see all those pulse bombs, it's hard to not kind of think about it at least a little bit.
Only time will tell. We do know that at least Runasapi is going to be the map, and Lucio is getting banned, which a little bit of a shocker. I mean, both teams, It's not like one team wasn't playing Lucio, right? And they're like, okay, now time to ban the Lucio from the other. They'd both been playing it. So I'm curious what New Haven has cooked up on this map and what, I mean, are we going to go to like Juno Kiri or like a Brig Juno to, compensate for the speed that the Lucio's not going to have?
I'm curious too because we've only seen Kiri Lucy. There has not been a single second of a support swap. We've seen the other roles shuffling around a bit, the tanks and DPS trying to figure out the counter matchup. The supports have been, we are Kiri Lucy backline. Go forward. We'll try to do the rest for you. So, right, might open up the Juno if depending on, right, we might even see a few other things if somebody wants to try to play something like the Ana or something a little more out of left field, given the map depending is still obviously lots of picks in the pool, but New Haven, I mean, just the pressure of the moment now. Server bricks on you, possibly cost you a series. You make your way into nationals, you try to clear the slate, and all of a sudden you're still in a very, very rough spot. UGA is going to be banning away the hazard, so they must have thought that maybe that hazard 1v1 was coming down the pipeline, and they're like, you know what? We respect Warrior as a tank player enough. We're not going to let him have that option.
Yeah, to me, that makes things even more interesting because outside of the SIG, Georgia had just been playing the hazard the entire time. So what now does Georgia, have cooked up for this map? Because you could, essentially with the Malga comps, Juno tends to play really well with the Malga comp anyway. So you could go like Kiri Juno or Brig Juno, whatever. If that's the case, then, maybe they're just going to play the SIG into it and we'll get the SIG versus the hazard or SIG versus the Malga matchup again. But I don't know. Those bans are very interesting. Not what I was expecting.
It does cut out 40% of the hero pool we've seen for most of the series, so it really does throw things in flux a bit, and maybe this is going to be better for New Haven. Maybe they just need to wipe the slate clean, forget about what happened, get the Men in Black forget device and just completely block out what happened the last 20-30 minutes and see if they can dial back in one kill, one map at a time, one game of Ro16 to save the season or to give UGA just the eternal bragging rights in this little mini rivalry that's been cooked up.
Alrighty, Ro16 is where it could all end as Georgia is trying to punch their ticket to the next round of the Nationals bracket in Division 2. Yeah, it looks like they are going to play the Sigma on this map. University of New Haven currently showing us they don't have plans to play the Malga. They're looking to go a little bit more standard, especially since Ramacha got the rework to him with his Ravenous Vortex changes and then the new perk with the bigger shield. But I mean, we kind of saw a little bit of a preview on that third point on the Ravenous Sig, but to be fair, I don't think we got a big enough a sample size to know how this is going to go.
Yeah, and I think UGA was honestly just literally firing on all cylinders, so I think it honestly could have been 3 or 4 different tanks. Those DPS were not about to lose that map for UGA regardless of what was happening, so this time it will be the Alara Kiriko. We did obviously see a cat hover, but we were not going to see the cat Alaria. I was very surprised UGA would throw caution to the wind like that when they could close out a national series, but it will be the Alari Kiri with the SIG. Of course, Jace has to pick up the Tracer, and a little surprised to see Illusion on something like the Soldier, especially given that they just played one of the better Sojourn games I've seen in a hot minute, but it's a Soldier. If you're landing shots and you're accurate, actually against the Embry too, I can definitely understand it, just an Illusion shooting straight.
And that's a lot of damage thrown onto Big Warrior on that Ram. Out of block and have to back up and forgive and allow some space to be bought for the side of University of Georgia.
Tanks looking to square up here. The Ramacha will pop the overheal and the armor, but still getting taken down a little bit low. Penguin hasn't even taken a single bit of damage there with the backline support. UGA in a slight lead as the robot continues to tranche on forward, and New Haven right now seeing if they can find an angle on anybody. The ulti's looking a little bit better on the UGA side, but it's fairly negligible at this early stage. Nice rock connection, and almost gonna find, they do find the kill on Full Mega and Illusion. I was gonna say that was a great rock throw on a Penguin. Would have been a shame if there wasn't a kill, but UGA, they're quick to the trigger, and now they've got a pretty serious ult advantage. Knight was only at 35%, and they swap off the Emery.
Yeah, I mean, gonna go over to this the Sojourn, which I mean we saw Knight also had a very impressive last map on the Sojourn. It was just Illusion went absolutely sicko mode, and now UGA coming up on 3 ultimates with 2 more lingering. Knight had to give up on the Emery ult charge, so they're gonna be a little bit behind when it comes to that. UGA, man, they are just continuing the momentum they built up on the previous map.
Oh, Gravitic Flux trying to shut down the Ramattra early. The rock just doesn't land. Pulse Bomb does though, but the Orbital Ray saving from above with Mon Clover. The Tac Visor from Illusion to try to cut through that Orbital Ray. Looks like it did a fair bit of damage to one player, but ultimately not too much value. But for the UGA side, right, you don't necessarily want to lose an ult exchange there, but you did buy yourself 75 meters. And now that Jolly pops the rally, I'm thinking UGA should probably just give a little bit of space here. Oh, they're going to Kitsune.
Yeah, I agree, but they're going to use Kitsune Rush. They're down their tank, and they're going to use Captive Sun. This is all 5 ults. I don't know about this. Wow, they turned it around.
Yeah, isn't that the story of the series? Wow, UGA, this fight looks a little bit rough. You popped a couple ults early, and then they just slaughter everybody the next 10 seconds. Illusion, Alpha, and Langston getting dirty. The Soldier, too. I mean, honestly, Illusion, I don't care what you play. You've been smurfing on everything. Soldier is Soldier, right? As I said, if you can aim, it does a lot of damage, so certainly still a pick that can find value. Obviously, very easy to play as long as you position correctly. The rest kind of plays itself. So UGA, they're at 100 meters already, basically.
Still got a Blade available for dying. That's the only ult we're really looking at for this next fight. I mean, Chase has almost built up to another Pulse Bomb, and Illusion almost has another Tac Visor. They just use these ults.
That's actually a very good point. They are luckily able to shut down the Sigma, so maybe the ultis won't be able to get online and find that value as Jace desperately fighting to get it online. They can maybe get it, but I don't know if they're going to get caught out here. A bit of a rough spot. Recall to safety. Finally, the Brig's able to shut down that pesky Tracer. Now we see Illusion just able to farm up the ulti as they do run away to the team. And for UGA, right, you never want to lose a fight, but the state of the game, you are completely okay with taking a few lumps here and there.
Agreed, as now they can re-engage with their DPS ultimates because they need to start getting some meterage in their favor. Illusion's going to pop the Tac Visor first, though.
Yeah, that's a great call, especially with no support ultimates online. That means there is no way to keep anybody alive, but the way you can do it is by just taking to the streets and finding kills. It's actually going to be a 3-for-3, but in the meantime, the two New Haven players went to the backline, so this Illusion, you can just take the robot and start running into the other side of the map with Jace, so even though it's a 3-for-3, UGA, and look at Jace using the robot as a human shield. That is great work out of UGA, even in a bit of a risky fight. They still at least pulled New Haven, and they wasted a good 45 seconds there.
Yeah, and in all the meantime, they kept their forward spawns as well. They're now just going to get taken away, so I think that was a very successful fight from inside of UGA, all things considered.
Great heads-up play. The Orbital Ray Overclock combo out of New Haven and UGA. Again, if they're willing to give a little bit of space, they can try to wait out the ultis, but Knight not allowing them the privilege. They're going to find Penguin and find the shutdown, and now New Haven, they're the ones in good position. They can force UGA back. They finally have the robot moving in the right trajectory. Jace does not have a pulse bomb to ruin the day, so New Haven might be able to get near this first checkpoint before UGA makes it back, as, yeah, this is a good way to deal with the Tracer. Send Jolly.
Yeah, they're going to have Annihilation and Rally. Those two should be enough to get this across the finish line, but already we're seeing the Brig trying to spy check Jace, who's been going crazy. I don't blame him.
Yeah, I think they've got to understand that's the name of the game. As Knight finally getting their name in the feed again. We've seen them have an incredible performance as well. Alpha Omega finds the answer in the Gravitic Flux. The Ramattra pops the Annihilation in midair and gets killed. Oh no, they used Annihilation Rally and they got 5-for-0'd.
That is catastrophic from the side of New Haven. As soon as you knew you were caught there, that Annihilation was not going to save you from the Flux. Oh, I think that was just a decision where it's like, oh, if I pop this Annihilation, I'll get that extra armor, but it was going to do half no matter what. It was just, heat of the moment, bad decision, unfortunately.
That's one of those, you hit the button and immediately facepalm and go, why am I like this? I knew better than that. I thought maybe there was an outside chance. But both of your biggest ultimates fall. Jace finds a kill without even needing the pulse bomb. And now we've got Alpha taken to the skies with the ulti on the Alari. Penguin able to shut down Warrior. And it really does feel bad for New Haven. Oh, now it feels real bad. Twisting the knife is Jace. And New Haven, all that momentum, all the success they had a few minutes ago, that essentially never happened now.
Yeah, an Illusion now going to have a tactical visor. I mean, the only thing you're getting close to is a Blade. This is starting to look really, really rough for the side of New Haven. They just don't have any tools.
Yeah, realistically, I think that rally and Annihilation debacle was more than likely game losing. I didn't want to jinx it too early, but I was thinking it dearly, and I really think you even said that's the combo they need to guarantee a fight win. And it was the worst fight of the game somehow for them. Now the Tactical Visor can free hit on every man who dares to stand in front of it, as UGA looks like they are trying to put the stamp on the second series. No fluke, no jokes, no accidents. Only victory for UGA Black as they cross the finish line, moving on in Nationals in a dominant Runasapi.
Yeah, again, once UGA got rolling, I mean, again, I think it really came down to that fight. Great
That
flux
combo
from Penguin. I mean, totally negated the rally and
Are we going to watch it again to embarrass the tank? Oh, no. Oh, we are. I'm sorry, Warrior. I didn't have to see that twice. I'm sorry. I promise that wasn't on purpose. Blizzard decided that was the play of the game. I tend to agree. I was thinking that would be the game-losing fight. I'm pretty sure New Haven knew that too. Once that Ramatra dies and I hear rally to me and there's no one left alive, I think they went, we just spent every ounce of gas in the tank and now we are empty.
Yeah, but still, very good season from New Haven, all things considered. Making it to Nationals, making it this far is always a crowning achievement. But congratulations to University of Georgia, making it to the next round of the Nationals bracket in Division 2.
Yeah, that was fantastic work out of them. Again, obviously for New Haven, you hate to see things go down the way they did, especially after last week, but destiny is a cruel, cruel thing sometimes. Georgia, just honestly, their aggression just spoke to me. The way they just knew exactly when they wanted to go. Jay said, hey, don't ban my Tracer. Go ahead, ban all these other broken heroes. I'm going to find it. And a double kill with the Pulse Bomb to right at the end of the map, there could not have been a more fitting end.
I agree. So once again, congratulations to the University of Georgia and St. Lawrence earlier in the day in Division 6. With that, we are going to wrap things up for the night. Huge shout outs to everyone in chat. Huge shout outs to you, Jobin, for being here behind the scenes. And huge shout outs to Reach for doing God's work, man. I mean, she's normally just an observer, was able to come in, and we had some problems with prod behind the scene, pulled up, stepped up, did the prod and the observing at the same time. Reach, you were amazing. Thank you so much. And with that, don't forget, next week we have more Nationals action for you guys. All the games we do, Rocket League, League of Legends, Overwatch, Rainbow Six, Marvel Rivals. You're not going to want to miss out on anything. But with that, we'll see you next week for some more Nationals action.